Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Diamonds Forever 31 show, where we go beyond awakening, and we're learning who we really are in this paradigm shift, going towards a golden age, which we're already well into that, by the way. So welcome, everybody. This is October 11th, 2014. We have Antonia Hagens for a guest tonight. She works with, she's with Franco and James Fu and other people. But before we get to that, let me just give the previews here. If you want to get a hold of us, its email is diamondswithanS31@yahoo.com. This call is available right after the recording at the recorded line 209-255-1099. And the PIN number today, the reference number today is 169#. So they'll ask for a PIN number. You would dial 883267#, and then the reference number, you'll put in 169#. Last week's Diamond Show was an astounding show with Raymond and his father and his grandfather, and Raymond's met the most species of our six-star family, 32, and that was an astounding call. That was reference number 168#. You can listen to it on the recorded line or the links on the blog, or it's on YouTube now, Elizabeth Diamond YouTube channel. Just search that at YouTube. By the way, and Ray's on here too today. Let's see, just an update. Let me go to that. The show's been up less than 6 days, and there's already 297 views. That's just on YouTube, not including the link that they listen to it on the phone or the link on the Diamond Show. So that's great. Word's getting out to the world and beyond. Then the week before, we had Franco Di Nicolo. We really took a leap in consciousness on that call. That reference number is 167#, if you want to listen to it on the recorded line, and it is on the YouTube. All three of these shows will be on the YouTube channel. And a link on the Diamonds. And the Diamonds blog, Diamonds with an S Forever 31.blogspot.com. And that site is where I keep up with the world changes and learning who we really are, going beyond awakening. Please, if you feel inclined to in your heart, please push the donate button upper right-hand corner. And just if you're receiving expanded consciousness, and just pay the energy back if you feel like that. That helps me. Hopefully my goal is to take one day off during the week of work, so because this takes a lot of preparation for you guys and for me. I'm right there with you. So the donations button goes to PayPal. And I appreciate that. And we will give some news here of the world changes this week after we visit with Antonia. And also, I want to give a shout-out, thank yous to the people who post the Diamond Show information on their websites. DinarGurusNews.com, thank you. IQDcalls.com. And what's the others? Ashtar Command. And also I want to give a special shout-out to Joe. And Joe is here local in Minnesota, where I live, too. He is the awesome one that puts all the YouTubes together. Excellent work. He does great. It's just a hobby of his. Thank you so much, Joe, for doing that. I've looked a long time, or intended a long time, for these shows to get up on YouTube. Thank you so much for what you do. He does excellent work. And it's all volunteer, by the way. Thank you so much, Joe. Love ya. All right. I know I forgot another one. IQD calls. Oh well. I'll remember. Let's see. We're going to have Antonia here. She's standing by. Let me just read her little bio here. And she does excellent work. She's such an awesome sister of ours. Antonia Hagens is a nutritionist, healer, speaker, author, and visionary leader. From a very young age, Antonia was connected to the spiritual world. She facilitated many energy healings. She was already on stage speaking by the time she was 12 years old. Wow. Then her life changed, and she closed the door on all things spiritual. She reopened the door to her transformational journey by becoming a nutritionist. This led her to re-exploring healing, energy, and spirituality. Her intense desire to understand the why and how of life has led her to become certified in many healing modalities. Through her transformation company, Masterpiece Life Inc., she has assisted thousands to transform their lives all over the world. She has worked with and interviewed some of the leading-edge healers, scientists, thought leaders, and spiritual teachers in the world today. As a healer and intuitive, Antonia has been certified in nutrition metabolic typing, functional diagnostic nutrition, neurostructural integration technique, NST, advanced Bowen therapy, emotional freedom technique, EFT, theta healing, Reiki, universalist modality, Qigong, reconnective healing, and many more. Antonia gently and powerfully guides you to question the source of your issue so that you can learn and move forward. You are here to play, experience, learn, and enlighten. Your soul is on an accelerated path of growth. Your natural state is love, peace, oneness, and fluidity. Sending you love and wishing you a magical day. And that's Antonia Hagens. So welcome, Antonia. Are you there?
Thank you, Elizabeth. That was thank you for that wonderful introduction.
Yeah, I was crying all the way through it. It touched my heart. So I know you're a deep, deep, heartfelt, full of love woman when I feel that so intensely. So thank you so much for what you do.
My pleasure.
So I stumbled into Antonia with Franco Di Nicolo. Actually, her and Franco do some energy activations and healings. Like, isn't it once a month or once every other week?
We try to do it once a month, yes.
And it's pertinent to the times of the energies coming in. It's very astounding. I listen to them all the time, by the way. Antonia, thank you. They're awesome.
Thank you. Our pleasure.
And then she works with James Fu, and she's a really cool lady. Does a lot behind the scenes that we don't even know she does. It doesn't talk a lot about that. So we're going to get to know Antonio today. And Antonia, just want to, start how you stumbled on this awakening process. How long ago, and your journey up until today, first of all?
Mm-hmm. Well, it probably started off, my grandmother was the village, used to be called bone crackers and exorcist. So when somebody got hurt or popped a shoulder or popped a knee, they would go see her and she would pop it back in place. And she also was the exorcist. So growing up was interesting because when, I got to see bodies conform and change and voices come out of bodies in a very different way than kids would have. And my parents were both deeply religious, being Catholic, and we grew up in the Catholic Church, and everything was very, you never missed a church no matter what. But they also had this different view that for them it was not just Catholicism, which was their backbone, but anything that had to do with prayer or praising God. So we grew up, coming in and out of Pentecostal, ecumenical churches, going to any kind of prayer revival, any kind of laying on of hands prayer healing. And so, for them, even though being Catholic was very important, it was still for them an opening that most people didn't see. So I grew up not only seeing my grandmother, who was the village exorcist, but also watching things like laying on of hands, people being slain in the spirit, and all this kind of stuff, and grew up in that community, and that's where I was speaking a lot because I ended up being a youth leader. We were putting together a community for living together, and I was part in the youth, and I also became the instant translator for a lot of things. So I was on stage a lot. So I saw a lot that most people wouldn't see from a very young age. I saw exorcisms and, stuff that as a young kid was a bit scary. I also used to get a lot of visions and dreams that I didn't quite understand. And, so that went along, and then something, I started not feeling, as a teenager, later as a teenager, started not feeling aligned with all this. And I knew that there was more, but I wasn't willing to explore, and I just had this really uneasiness in me. And what I did is I just shut the door. I just closed the door. I didn't want to look. I didn't want to question. I didn't want to answer. I knew something wasn't sitting right, but I was too scared to look. So that was it. Shut the door on all things actually related to healing and all things related to spirituality. And off I went to study and do everything that, someone who thinks that they know better goes and does in life. And then, as we said, later on, I started getting ill very often, and I couldn't figure out why. I thought it was pretty normal for everybody to be working 2 jobs, one during the day and one in the evening, and I had done that because all through my university studies I had always worked. So it was quite a shock for me when someone said, "What do you mean you have 2 jobs?" Because that's just the way it was, right? My parents weren't in the position to pay for our education, so it was our responsibility to come up with the funds ourselves. And because my health, I kept having health issues, and I thought, well, someone at 25 shouldn't be having all these issues. And when I went to see my family doctor, she had said, well, why don't you look into acidophilus and, these kind of things could be good for you. And I said, well, what is that? She goes, well, you'd have to go to a health food store. And to me that was like, oh, no, because we grew up pretty much in a health food store because my father had a very rare, unique condition. He had been given at the time, days, maybe at the most weeks to live. And because through fasting and juicing and a completely different protocol, he healed his body within 30 days. So because of that, we grew up pretty much living in a health food store. And, of course, being a young teenager, I rebelled against that. We didn't want to have carrot juice. We didn't want to touch beet juice. We didn't want that stuff. So when I went to see my GP, my doctor, at 25, and she said, you should look into an acidophilus and you'll find it in a health food store. I went, no. But I did because I just kept getting sick and I wasn't getting any better and nothing made sense. So that was kind of like the restart of re-exploring and looking at who I was and what our gifts were and how the body can heal. And initially it started as a nutritionist. And given the fact that I'm extremely inquisitive, I would always look to see how you can do stuff better. And when I started having clients, then I would help them with matters of nutrition. But a lot of people came to see me had physical pain. So then that led to studying about the body and releasing pain. How can we relieve pain of the body? So I would do that and then realize, there's more going on. There's this emotional component to things. So that led into studying stuff like EFT and a lot of modalities to release emotions. And I was like, it's more than the physical, that what you eat and put in your body. It's more than just how to release pain in the body. And it's more than just this emotional thing. And then I went back into spiritual and really looking at who we are, what is energy, how do we heal from a quantum spiritual level and not just a physical level. So that's kind of what started. I've always asked and known that there was more. And through asking questions and then just being guided, you just come along. And I think all of us are on that kind of a journey. It starts with an awareness. It starts with asking a question, and then we continue. So that's pretty much how I got to where I am. I started Masterpiece Life. My husband and I started Masterpiece Life just over 9 years ago. And we wanted to bring speakers here into the Toronto area that taught from a place of bliss, taught from a place of how do we create better lives for ourselves and for humanity? How do we make our world better? So that's how Masterpiece Life got started. And as I know, I've had the pleasure of being able to interview and work with a lot of speakers and teachers. And right now, the ones that I work with the most are Franco Di Nicola, which I believe has been a frequent guest on your show now, I think, and Sifu James Fu, who I've also known for 9 years, who is a Feng Shui and Qigong master. And they're both incredible individuals. So we all work together whenever we can. And, we're here to assist humanity in the best way that we can. Right now, as everybody I'm sure knows on this call, we're going through a massive shift. And it's a shift that we've all agreed to be here for. And we're doing the best that we can to provide tools of assistance, whether it be clearings and seminars or, interviews or teleseminars like this program tonight, this afternoon, so that people can remember who they truly are, remember that they are source having a physical experience in a body. And that's why I'm here.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. That's a great story. I came from Catholic and then went to the Christian realm, and kind of like your story. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's astounding, Yeah, when you think of the church but they're waking up, I'm finding out. You can't talk to a lot of your Christian friends about the stuff you find out. But they're waking up. I'm very amazed. That's awesome. We're all waking up. So different ways.
All of humanity is waking up, absolutely.
Thank you for sharing that. And just curious, how did you then stumble on Franco and James?
Franco and I met actually through a seminar that I hosted, 9 years ago. And he attended, and then, we all developed friendships. And I got to know Franco better, and we'd have lots of conversations. And I kept saying, "Okay, Franco, honey, you need to talk. You need to share this more openly." So we would just do that. And then one day I said, one day back in 2000, I said, "Franco, this is it. Okay, we're doing a teleseminar. We're going to put together a program. You're going to start teaching."
Cool.
And so that's how it got started. So since 2009, and all this stuff is up on my site, which is masterpiecelife.com, masterpiecelife.com. And it's also up on Franco's site, which is francodinicola.com. So all the programs that I have, that we have co-created together, are now all up there. They're whether they're teleseminars, whether they're previous full-day programs. We put them all up and we made them all available because everybody's waking up at different levels. And there's tons of information, tons of great tools to be used. So that is available up there.
That is a beautiful site, by the way. It's a masterpiece, masterpiecelife.com. It's truly a masterpiece. You named it right.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I just want to go a little, you hosted a seminar, you invited Franco. How did you stumble on him? I'm just curious, Franco and James, how did you stumble on them to invite him? On Facebook or just?
No, I was actually hosting another speaker here in Toronto, and I had done a lot of marketing, and he had found out about the seminar, and he came and attended.
Oh, he attended. Oh, that's kind of cool. Well, that was meant to be. I'm always curious about that. I'm curious. Mm-hmm. Curious, Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm.
So
he attended with a friend, and then that's how we all connected, and then we just kept up our friendship.
The Three Musketeers.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. And by the way, Franco and Julian Wells, and he talks to this observation ship, Palladians and other species on that ship. And Franco will be together on the Diamond Show October 25th. And we're going to bring James Fu in here on November 29th. Mm-hmm. So we're going to have all three of you, Three Musketeers, here at the Diamond.
Awesome.
And we're going to really go beyond awakening, thanks to all of your work and your initiative and getting the other two boys going, so to speak. We got to do that. So that's great. Thanks for encouraging them.
You're welcome. Well, Sifu James has been doing this on the side for many, many years. He, is originally Chinese, so he does teach a lot within the Chinese community. And he also teaches in Ottawa, which is just north of the Toronto area here. And, so right now what I was able to do with James after years of knowing him is, put it more online so that, as I told them, what he's teaching, it can benefit so many that that as long as you just keep teaching it in Toronto or in Ottawa, then it doesn't get spread out. So we were able to, redo his site, and as we are monthly adding things to the site, adding tools so that people can be assisted.
And he's an energy master. Can you give his site too, really quick?
It's James Thru, so JamesFoo.ca.
.ca. And all three, Antonia, James Fu, and Franco, you can find on Facebook too. I'm sure they'll be your friends.
Yeah, we can be. You can find me on Facebook as Antonia Hagens, Hagens, or you can find the Masterpiece Life page, and it would be great if you could like it. And that's just if you just go to Facebook and search for Masterpiece Life, you'll find that there. And that's where I'll post everything that I do with either James Fu or Franco Di Nicola or other guest speakers that we have on my show from time to time. Everything gets posted up there.
And by the way, you go to Masterpiece Life. Up on one of the tabs, maybe Antonia can let us know, are all of the free activations and healings they've done in the last 2-3 years. And what do you call them? Can you just explain them? That's where you find them all in a group, and they're very, very wonderful. They're expanding my conscious. They're changing my DNA. Thank you, thank you, thank you for that.
Absolutely. Well, if you go to masterpiecelife.com, and then you notice a tab that says Clearings and Activations, and I think we've put everything up that we've done in the past 6 years. So everything is pretty much up there that we've had that's recorded. And they're clearings and activations. Some people might call them meditations. But what a clearing is over meditation. Meditation is something that you just go into a process to relax, shut off the mind, and be able to connect from within. And they're beautifully powerful. The clearings and activations that we do go further than that. They're to help people release, release what's veils that are blocking you, or
heal,
or release emotions and release things that are coming up. So when you go up to masterpiecelife.com, you'll notice that when you click on the clearings and activation tabs, the activation tab, there's a lot of different titles. And usually what happens is, whether I'm working with Franco or Sifu James, just before we're going to do an event, we'll both just sort of like sit and just feel into what can best assist humanity at that time. So we don't tend to announce stuff until probably a week before, and we just feel, okay, what can best assist? What do we need to cover to assist? And then the topic comes up. So they're not created in advance. They're sort of created as we feel it can best serve humanity. And up there you will find clearings and activations that either I've done myself, or in coordination with Franco, or Franco's done, or James has done. So they're all up there. The clearing and activations that are done by Franco are the whole process is a spoken to process. They're a guided system, so he will talk to assist you through. When Sifu James speaks, his is very different. Usually I lead in getting people to do a specific Qigong process. And Qi just means energy. That's what Qi means in Chinese. Whether it's spelled C-H-I or Q-I, it's Qigong. And initially I will start off by guiding people through a process that assists to detach and be more heart-centered, and then Sifu James will continue and do a silent transmission. And they range from 15 minutes to 30 minutes, depending on, what is it that's covered, what is it that's needed. And that's all put up. If someone does come onto Sifu's site, Sifu's energy transmissions, of which we have one coming up this Tuesday on the heart and lung, we usually ask people try to be on time for the calls. It'll be Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, because at the very beginning of the program, when somebody is in there, Sifu James will collect their energy and work with them. So if someone comes late, you'll definitely still get a very powerful experience. But if you're on the call on time and he's collected your energy and added it in, it is, we find, a stronger experience. So everything is up there. Everything is available.
Yeah, I've listened to those too. with what you just described with you and James Fu. And just so you know, guys, when they're on live, you can listen to the recorded link on the Internet, and you can come on Skype, right, in the Internet. You also can dial in on a phone line. So if anybody wants that information to come live via the phone line, I think, can you listen to it recorded on the phone line too?
No, you can listen to it. How I set it up is you can listen live on the Internet, so you can listen to it as it's happening on the Internet, or on the telephone. And the service that I use, there's quite a few local numbers. So for people that are listening around the world, actually, if you're living in Canada, the U.S., Australia, I believe New Zealand, and in the UK, there's tons of local call-in numbers so that you're avoiding long-distance charges. Otherwise, you can just listen via the website. And often, depending on what the program is, on the website, when the link gets announced, there's a Q&A section where you can type in questions, say hello, and when we can, then we definitely answer as many questions as possible. And typically by the next day, the recording of it will go up on the website. If it's been a clearing or activation, it goes up on that section. If it's been an interview, it goes on the interview section. And if people are on the mailing list, which they can join on the Masterpiece Life site, then they'll get notifications that it's ready for them to access. We also have, for people that prefer to read, all the programs that Franco Di Nicolo and I have done throughout the years, I've had transcribed.
Wow.
So there's also a section there where if you prefer to read something, then you can go do that. You can access the transcript, you can download it, you can print it, or you can just read it online. So there's tons and tons of resources. There's also a free ebook that Franco and I have co-written. And once again, that's available if you just go to masterpiecelife.com and go down the right-hand side tab. There's little boxes announcing different things. You'll see that one of the box is for a free ebook. And once again, you can download that. You can print it. You can share it. Highly recommend it. So there's tons of resources. Mm-hmm.
Antonia, you read my mind. That was my next question. Give me a couple other favorite places of that on Masterpiece Life, a couple other favorite places. And you just did, so thank you for that. Mm-hmm. And part of what I do on the Diamond Show to help humanity is there are a lot of people that don't have computers, so that they only have phones. So if anybody wants to go to any of those live, they can. Just call me. I'll guide you to the number and the phone number you can call to listen to. You can call me at 612-715-8314. Yeah, so I like to do that. We're going to get this whole world covered, Antonia, and no one will be missing, nobody left out, right?
No, absolutely.
Okay, so what's next? I just lost my train of thought. All right, next. Coming up. Oh, boy. All right. What's next, Antonia?
Well, how can I best assist your audience?
Oh, since you've had lots of healing teaching modalities, is there a couple tools, modalities you want to share with us that will help us through this energy now, not to resist and, to get our houses swept clean and just go with the flow and ride the wave, not be in the wave? Is there anything that you've personally learned and teach and like that you could share with us today with all of your education and your mastering in what you have learned?
Of course. So, and I think that's why there's so many different resources and tools out there, and I always tell people, use what resonates with you. There's no good or bad tools. It's just sometimes there's tools more appropriate, and I've always been one to like to have a lot of tools around me, and then I can pull out the tool that I feel best serves. So I guess you're familiar, less people would be familiar with EFT, correct? Which is the Emotional Freedom Technique, or called tapping.
Say that again?
EFT, which is the Emotional Freedom Technique, or just called tapping. Are you familiar with that?
Oh, okay. EST. Okay, E is in elephant, S is in Sam, and T is in top. It's tapping. Right?
E is in echo, F is in foxtrot, T is in tango.
Okay, EFT. Let's tango with that. Go ahead, Antonia.
Well, it's just one modality. It's just one modality that helps with emotions. Right now, the ones that we like to use the most is, Sifu James has put together an energy paper to assist with releasing emotions, to assist people to come up to a 5 to 8 hertz level. Actually, it brings you more up to 396, but the purpose is to continue going in that direction, and people have been having incredible feedback and great assistance with doing that. So I think right now that's probably the one that I would speak to the most. Now, I know that you're saying that a lot of your people, unfortunately, don't have websites. Don't have an internet, but that is also freely available up on my site.
Oh, I'm not. A lot of people have computers, but I like to cover the ones with no computers too.
Right.
But yes, share that. And we've talked about that energy paper in some calls too, so they should be familiar with it. Great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, the energy paper is put up. How that happened is Sifu Jimsu wanted a way that have something that could assist people. Like, say, for example, you're not feeling well, or you're in emotional turmoil, and you're not going to think of, okay, I have to go meditate. You're too in the emotion. So he wanted something that would be simple and widely available to people that they could use to assist themselves to come to a state where they can be in a neutral position and then move forward. So that became the energy paper, and we did a lot of testing in the beginning when it came out. A whole bunch of us, would test it and see how it made us feel and how things were, and we'd give him our feedback, and then he'd go back and he'd change things. And when we got the energy paper to be stable, then we put it up. Until we had it stabilized, we didn't put it up because there was things that he wanted to change and alter in it. But it is available on the Masterpiece Life site and also on jamesfu.ca. And once again, if you go to the right-hand column, there's a box that says, I think, energy paper. And if you click on it, it will take you directly to the page where you can download and print the paper. And there's also instructions on how to use it. Please read the instructions. It'll help you a great deal, just knowing how to use that. The instructions are up, and we've also had the instructions translated into French, Portuguese, Czechoslovakian, and Persian. So as we get more languages that it's translated to, we'll keep adding it to the website so people can share it with their friends internationally, and it's made available. It definitely is of great assistance. I find that a lot of people right now find that when they have turmoil going on and they use it, they feel calmer, they feel more centered, they're able to sleep better at night. A lot of people have also been using it to release pain in the body. So it's all up there. It's all up there for everybody to go use.
And you want to share your little experiment you did with rice and the energy paper?
Yeah. So back in March, I think we'd already, I think we started testing the energy paper around the middle of February. And then I thought, well, let's see, because we were talking about how a lot of us were feeling peaceful at the time, and it was helping with headaches. So as we kept experimenting, I said, I thought I would just do a fun test. So one night after dinner, I cooked a bit of extra, plain rice, and then I took 2 jars. I wanted them to be the same, so same size jars. And I put 5 tablespoons of cooked rice into both jars, so they were the same. And then one jar, I folded an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and I wrapped it around. And the other jar had the printed energy code on it, and I folded it and did it the same way because I wanted to make things as identical as possible. So I closed it, and then I just put it up on, the cupboard above my stove and just left it there. And whenever we'd had Qigong classes and workshops, then I would bring it down. People could look at it. I put it back. But pretty much I just left it there. I did not set any intention other than let's just see what happens. Let's see what this does. And one of the things that we had talked about with energy paper was that it alters the DNA, that it helps restore the DNA. So we thought, okay, let's have fun. Let's see what happens. So I put it up, and now what happens is once a month I take it out, other than my kids pulling it out to gross out their friends because I think it's the coolest thing. But I take it out about once a month, and I just take a picture of it, just kind of just show everybody how it's progressing along. It's been up for 6.5 months now. We'll be coming up to 7 months on October the 18th. And if you go up to the Master Peace Life site, you'll see that there's pictures up, and you'll see that the rice that just has the plain paper has progressed as we would anticipate rice to. It's decomposing. It's going. I think at this point it's actually black. It's rotting like you expect it to. On the other hand, the rice that has the energy paper wrapped around it is still as white as when I first put it in the jar. And that has not changed. And so we continue this fun experiment. Every month I just take a picture and put it back, and there's nothing else really done to it. And it's just to see. It's just see what does this do? What is this happening? So we're having fun. And once again, every month I'll take a picture of it, and I'll post the results up on Master Peace Life. And then I also post it on the Master Peace Life Facebook page, so that people could see. And I think it's a great visual of the fact that, because sometimes in our energetic spiritual world, it's difficult to quantify things. And as humans, we like to quantify. We like to see things. And this has become a fun experiment where you can very visually see, what is happening. The rice with the energy paper is being maintained, sustained. Life is continuing. I mean, life is continuing for the other rice as well, because life doesn't ever end. It just continues in a different form. But you can see how the energy paper rice has been preserved.
That's beautiful. Mm-hmm. And I would preface to say that the energy paper that he programmed has a strong energy of love, peace, joy, versus the other energy paper that doesn't have that strong of vibration of love, peace, joy, just say. And so we can see those two jars as us if we wanted to, as we work on our receiving more of love, peace, and joy energy. This is how we get preserved, huh?
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's a good point. The fact that the rice does not have barriers and belief systems and things to block stuff out. It just is, right? So it's just receptive. It's receptive to the energy. It's receptive to the vibration and the frequency coming at it. Whereas, because we're on this journey, part of this journey is that we picked up belief systems and emotions and things that we are working through, we are learning through, we are experiencing that could alter our experience of what happens around us.
That's a good point, Antonia. So we can thank the rice. Thank the rice for what you just said. The rice, lets things flow. It doesn't resist, and what you just said. Yeah, so thank you, Rice, for showing us a role model of how we can be in these days, right?
Absolutely.
So I wanted to see if anybody had any questions. Ray, you have questions for Antonia or any of the audience? Just *6. And 1 second. I got my grandkids.
No, I can't. The voices sound beautiful.
I hear Ray.
Yeah, no, she's brilliant. She's a big part of what this is all about. And I'm
Now, she's a healer, Ray. You want to ask her about, maybe some of the things going on in your life? Just see what.
Well, let's just requalify that word healer.
Okay, thank you.
Every time I hear it, I kind of a little bit cringe.
That's okay. Okay, you enlighten us. Thank you.
The word healer is up there because in our current vernacular, the word healer just helps identify somebody as something. But really, we are all healers, every single one of us. We all self-heal. We can all assist, and I know that Franco and James will be the first to say this as well. And, I'll definitely say this, is that we all have tools, we all have gifts to assist each other with. I wouldn't know how to fly an airplane, right? That's not my set of tools. But I do know how to feel energy in my hands, and from a young age I was drawn to certain areas of the body that I could feel things with. We all have that, all of us. We are all supposed to self-heal. And although the word healer is up there, sometimes I'm like, well, we are all healers, all of us. And I think that's part of this journey that we're walking right now, is to remember that, to really remember that, and to really honor ourselves, to really be open to receiving the power that we have to heal our bodies. And that's how I feel about it. I remembered through a lot of things. Interesting enough, any of the courses that I've done, that I was drawn to doing, as I was doing the course, you'd be like, oh yeah, a week or so prior to doing this course, I was doing this already. I was doing this. So I think we're just right now in a phase of remembering, and we are all healers, every single one. Look at a child. They fall and boom, bounce back up, and the healing happens. And somewhere along the line, we got told that, no, we can't heal ourselves. We have to expect a doctor or a medicine or an herbalist or something, right? We have agreed as a collective to give that power outside. And I believe that right now, through this incredible clearing and shift that we're going through, is part of that awakening. We see how things are spinning out of control beautifully, as they're supposed to give us this contrast, so that we realize we can't put our trust in stuff outside of us. It's time to come back and put trust in within us, to explore who we are, to explore our healing capabilities, to explore the healing capabilities of this beautiful planet that we're on. Because I firmly believe anything and everything we need to heal is already here. It does not have to be created with science. It already exists. It's just us tapping into it. So,
wow. Thank you for bringing us back around. That is a very, very pivotal, important point, Antonia. So, with that, what wisdom?
Right?
Go ahead. Huh?
Do you have a question, Ray?
No, I was just listening. I was just impressed.
What wisdom can you share with us to start in building that confidence in each of us? Because we are all healers. We're all self-healers. We'll have a transition, where we can use the energy paper technology. But when you get down to the root of it, we're the technology. Each one of us individually, we're all self-healers. And that's a great point you brought forth. Thank you so much, Antonia. What wisdom can you give us to help start in each of us build our confidence in that, or any thoughts in that?
Sure. Well, I'm a very hands-on person, so why don't we do a little exercise, right? Because I think first is just awareness and knowing stuff. And people might already know this, and that's fine, but I find that, sometimes just connecting with something you already know just opens up doors to other things. So if everybody just takes their hands and puts it first in a prayer position, right? And that's not meaning that you have to pray. It's just so that we're all kind of doing the same action here. And then just gently relax your fingers, and then pull your hand about maybe an inch or two apart. Okay? And if you tune in to the palm, to the center of your palm, so imagine as if you're seeing a beam coming from one side of your palm to the other side of your palm. So just hold that there, and very gently, maybe you want to circle really slowly, small circles, but just move your hand until you can feel the energy. And it's almost as if you can take your one hand, let's just say your right hand, and you can move it anywhere around your left hand, and you'll feel where that's going. So does everybody feel that? If you don't, just just kind of take a deep breath and just relax into it. So just feel that first. Just be playful with it. Be childlike. Right? That's your own energy. And that's just tapping into a really small portion of your energy. That's what surrounds you. That's what creates the holograph of this thing called a physical body. All right. Now, if you want to feel that energy expanding, just call out the numbers 5, 2, 8. And do it again. 5, 2, 8. And notice how your hands are pulled apart. If you keep doing that, you just feel that becomes stronger. The pull, the 5, 2, 8. Just try that. So to me, that's a very simple exercise. So when we start doubting ourselves, you can just sit down and do it, and you can feel the energy of you.
Wow, that's astounding. When I say those numbers, I can feel it without saying the numbers, but then when I say the numbers, my hands are apart a little bit, and you say those numbers, oh man, I can feel the energy ramp up.
Yeah, and it parts faster and faster, right? So that the 528 is an energy that comes into what we call the message center, or we can call the heart chakra. And as you call, and if you just gently close your eyes and keep doing that, because it's just fun to play with that, you should feel energy coming into the heart level and opening up.
And that's love energy.
That is. And once that does that, it will shoot straight up to your pineal gland. And after the pineal gland, it'll come right down your core of your body. And it's just
you can feel that if you're in tune to that, right? Feel it shoot up to the pineal gland and come back down?
Yes.
Wow.
And that's a really simple little exercise. If you take 5 minutes to do it here and there throughout the day, you'll find how you calm down. You'll find how, even though everything seems to be going crazy around you, you're calmer. You can come back to a more neutral position where from there you can choose. Because, see, what happens is, we've agreed to be on this journey, right? I mean, you've had Franco on the show, so we can talk like this. That about 25,000 years ago, humanity agreed to experience what we're doing right now in a much more accelerated fashion.
Yes.
And that agreement expired December 21st, 2012. Right? That was the end of the Mayan calendar, and there was the beginning of a new era. And
a new epoch.
A new epoch, yes. So we're leaving the 3D world. That's why things look like they've gone to hell in a handbasket. They haven't. They're dissolving because they need to. Because what we're living right now is simulated. What we're living right now is not how humanity was supposed to be. See,
it's like robotic. It's like robotic now. What we're living compared to where we're going to, right?
Exactly. And we've agreed to this. So we can't play victim.
Right.
And we can't blame Obama, and we can't blame the Illuminati, and we can't blame this, because in blaming them, we're blaming ourselves, right? We're all part of the same energy. We've had an agreement. That agreement has ended, and now we're dissolving everything around us, because now we're creating, the next 1,000 years of peace. And I've seen it. I've been in a deep trance where I saw it, and that's what part of what drives me. I've seen this. I know we're going in this direction.
You've seen the changes. Oh, beautiful.
And, and right now, everything that we think we've known and everything that we think has to be a certain way is dissolving. It's supposed to. Because, humanity has not been able to be truly creative as we really are. Humanity has not been able to communicate. Ray talks about connecting with our other brothers and sisters in the galaxy. There's so many out there that we have not been able to communicate because we agreed to stay in kindergarten for a long time, for lack of a better word. And now we're moving past that. The planet Earth is the Garden of Eden. We are the Garden of Eden. We're living in it, right? And right now, with all the changes going on around us, we're just remembering. And as we remember, then we can say, no, you're right, fear is an illusion. Because without fear, we couldn't be experiencing this. Without fear, we wouldn't live in a world of profit and usury and slavery. And, that's all control and fear, which we agree to. So we need to own that first. Versus blaming, we need to own it. We've agreed to it, and then we're done with it. Now we're moving forward. Now how do we create? Now how do we move forward? Now how do we create from a place of oneness where everything is supported? And that's what we're doing right now. And initially, the next couple of years will be a bit of shake-up. Part of it is humanity needs to release this hold that fear has had on us, release all of this, and come to a more neutral position. And I don't mean neutral as in don't give a care and don't do anything, but look at it as neutrality being a home base, neutrality being a place where you're at peace, and then you're truly in a position to choose and create. Because most of our choices up until now have been from fear, have been from lack, have been from survival, and that's not really a choice. We've been ramroded into a certain way of being. But now we need to start creating differently. And for a lot of people, that's scary because that's not something we've been used to. Right? We don't know what tools to use to create this way, and we're moving, and that's how humanity is moving. So that's why I do what I do. That's why I like everybody else, I'm busy too, like you are, Elizabeth. And Elizabeth, honey, you know what it takes to put on these shows.
Yeah.
Right.
And I can feel the passion. We can feel the passion through your talking here. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's why I can feel the passion of why you do what you do. I can feel that passion. And when you were speaking of, what we created and what we're created to come out of and what we're going into, I saw even the earth and us, we decided to go hide ourselves in this big old lump of coal, and now we're reversing that, and that coal is being shed off and scraped off, and the diamonds are shining, even earth. So that's a beautiful thing. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, wow. Thank you for sharing what you did with us.
My pleasure.
I keep forgetting my questions. Oh, my goodness. Oh, so 528, the love energy, and then James Fu introduces 825, right? 825?
Well,
and that's a little higher energy.
Well,
correct?
How he sees it when he's looking, because James Fu was born with the awareness and the gift of being able to see energy flowing in the body. So to him, everything has a color. That's how he sees things. So when we talk 528, which is also called the heart coherence, it's how we connect to inner earth. And there's so many things around 528. 528 is how we feel it coming into the heart, right? Coming into what we call the message center. So that's 528. Then when you come up to the third eye, that energy is 852.
852. And so that's just we're setting foundations with 528, and once we get used to that, then we can go up a little bit notch of hertz energy. These numbers, by the way, are frequencies, like quantum physics. Then we can say that 852, right? 852. My question is, I've learned lately there's lots of stuff that we've experienced in our life before birth, through the birth canal, and from childhood on, and a lot of that energy, dense stuff gets stuck in our liver. So could we, do that exercise like you were talking about 528 with 852, and we can say merge, and we can lay our hands on our liver, and we'll help that break up?
I would say first stay with 528.
Okay.
Because definitely stay with 5. The 852 is more for third eye and going forward into a different dimension. So when we're talking about, and that's why we're so big right now on 528, because for releasing stuff, for clearing stuff out, you want to be at the 528. And then what you can do is when you if you take time to sit down and do the 528 exercise, and first start with your hands and notice how your hands feel and spread apart. Then once you've done that, then you can go, so let's say, for example, let's try it now, right? Because according to Qigong, certain organs of the body, and there are 5 main organs of the body. There's the heart, the lungs, spleen, the liver, and kidneys. Okay, those are the 5 main organs, as there are 5 main elements. That's how Qigong has seen it for thousands of years. So if we want to work with different organs, the heart typically represents emotions. A lot of emotions are trapped in the heart. And that's why we've been working so much last month and this month on heart, which is releasing all these emotions. Okay, so that's heart. The lung, so that's the heart. The kidneys, which are kind of in your backside, usually contain fear. Okay. Right?
Oh, this is excellent. Thank you for sharing this with us.
So that's like think about it. Someone says you're so scared they pee their pants, right? So kidneys contain fear. The liver is usually anger.
Okay. Anger, bitterness,
revengefulness, right? So that's typically the liver. Then you've got.
And where's the liver at about in the body?
So the liver is if you put your hand on your right rib cage.
Okay.
And then if you just kind of go one hand beneath it, that's usually where your liver is.
Okay.
Okay. The lungs usually contain emotions like despair. Think of it. When someone's so depressed they can barely breathe. It's hard to even take a breath. So that's usually in the lungs. The spleen, which is if you now take your left hand and put it over your left rib cage, then just beneath that, that's where your spleen is. And that usually contains sadness.
Contains what?
Sadness, like deep sadness.
Sadness, okay. Deep sadness.
So I'm forgetting one. Let's see. We said heart for emotions, lungs for despair, liver for anger, the kidneys is fear, and the spleen is, we said, despair. So actually pretty good. That's 5.
And it takes on not just for this lifetime, but for all lifetimes we've lived, correct? That we can,
typically,
these energies are here now. We can help sweep our house clean, so to speak.
Yeah. So typically, yes. So, a great exercise to do, and that's why if you listen to any of the energy transmissions that we do, we will go through all the organs. And usually when I guide people to bring in energy into their body through the third eye, we bring it into the center. We run it down the side to the thyroid. We run it into the lungs, through the liver and the spleen, and then all the way down to the root chakra, and then back. And so in any of the energy transmissions that I've done with Sifu James, if you listen to any of them, you'll hear me at the beginning of the program guiding you through a quick process to kind of get the energy flowing through all those organs. Now, if you want to focus more on clearing something, then we can do that right now. So, like for example, let's look at liver, so anger.
Okay.
Right? So if everybody does that again, you put your hands in prayer position, gently relax them and open them a little bit until you feel the energy there. And then just say 5 to 8. 5 to 8. 5 to 8. And allow your hands to expand. 5 to 8. So now if you take your right hand and then gently move it over to above the liver area. You can continue the same. You can say 5, 2, 8. And over the liver, and you can now command, and you can say, liver, open and reveal to me. And notice what emotions may be coming up.
5, 2, 8. 5, 2, 8. 5, 2, 8. 5, 2, 8. Okay, Uncle Josh is coming up. Don't be loud. 5, 2, 8. 5, 2, 8. 5, 2. 5, 2.
So you might have a memory come up of something, or a feeling. So you can look at it and then choose to just let it go. And how I choose to command it to be gone, I bind it. And I send it to the sun to be repolarized for the highest good of all. And then just do that with stuff that comes up. So just, a lot of it is, taking time to make space for yourself to sit there and let yourself walk through the emotion. And then just be there with the liver. Notice what comes up. Notice what requires releasing. If a thought comes, a memory of something, then ask to see, where did that come from? Where did that originate from? And go back. And then just keep clearing and letting go. All right, and then when you're ready to end it, you can just simply open your eyes and you allow yourself to come back into your body. Now, if somebody has very deep emotions, another way to assist to release, there are two tools, and maybe we can talk about it another time, Elizabeth, but there's EFT, which I do like, and Sifu James also teaches the ADT, which is the adrenal, thyroid, and pituitary. And
beautiful. Then we can go and listen to those with you and James Fu, and we can practice it on our own.
Yes.
And as we practice this on our own, like you led us through this simple technique today, we will experience in our own body and emotions and heart and organs healing. And then as we experience it, we get the knowing, and we can help other people to, it's like a domino effect to help other people in the aspect of what you've enlightened us today is enlighten people that they are healers. They are. And here's how you can get, your confidence back, one way, right? Mm-hmm. So absolutely. I want to ask just this, that you led us through today for the organs in our body, and you describe each organ, what they carry, and we can clean out. Would we do the same thing with diseases that we have, like diabetes, asthma, anything? Would it be the same exercise that we could do too, the same way?
It's a great way to start, because sometimes you have to keep removing the emotions to see where the root of it is. Right? So, yes. And you can also, if you're looking at diabetes, I would first do the complete process of where you sit down. Like I said, if you listen to any of the recordings, at the beginning of the recording, I guide people through to get everybody ready for Sifu James to kind of have everybody centered, and then he'll take over and guide them up from there. But just listening to that recording over and over, you'll kind of find the process of how you guide it in through, and that way you're directing energy to all those organs. And then if, say, for example, the concern is diabetes, then you can yourself, just using the 5-2-8 energy, once you've gone through the process, and then I would take time and just put my hand over the pancreas And just
being the doctor you are. Very excellent point, because, dis-ease, we're natural state ease. But dis-ease is caused by emotions, and the root of it, like you said, emotions. And then when those get out of whack, emotions, fear, what we just talked about, when those get out of whack, it causes dis-ease in your body. And as that continues on, it causes disease, which is, all what we know about. So very pertinent point. With this energy work, we are getting to the root of all the diseases that, we may have or that we know about. Absolutely. Mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Wow. This has been very profound, Antonia. Thank you so much. Wow. And let me just ask, anybody want to come in and have any questions real quick? Because Antonia is going to leave us. And she hopefully can come back sometime. As you're talking in just this hour, Antonia, let me encourage you. The name that the spirit I feel from you? You want to know?
Me. Absolutely. Tell me.
Mother Teresa. You're our mother. It's awesome. I'm serious. I've been called that too, but you're the Mother Teresa of all Mother Teresas. And I mean that in a profound way. You're a nurturer. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure, honey. Absolutely.
Okay,
and,
let me just...
And thank you for all that you do.
Thank you. Let me just make sure the room's unlocked so people can come in. Hold on. Okay, it's all unlocked. *6 for any questions real quick, and give it a few minutes. It takes a while sometimes to *6. Okay, dear. Well, you enjoy your holiday. Thank you for coming.
It's a pleasure.
Any last words you want to, any last advice, anything on your heart you want to share with us before you go?
I just think that, whatever happens externally in our world or whatever the media creates fear propaganda with, I think that if all of us just take a minute to shut off all the televisions and shut off all the fear porn and shut off all the TVs and movies and all this stuff going on, and I'm sure Ray would agree, the movie industry is gearing up. They know that we're coming close to first contact, so look at all the movies out there about fearing aliens and alien takeover. If you shut all that off, if you truly shut all that off and thereby not giving any power, and if you sit down, and I know that a lot of us don't have easy lives or don't appear to have easy lives. Believe me, I know too. I'm no stranger to financial difficulties and health difficulties and everything else that we've all going through, right? But if you sit down and shut all that off and you just spend a couple of minutes on your own, and whether it's doing the 5-2 exercise or doing whatever modality or whatever tool feels best for you, if you just spend time quietly sitting there and allow yourself to be and allow yourself to connect into your heart, you realize how perfect everything is. You realize how everything is fine. You realize how connected and how beautiful everything is, and how we are on this incredible journey. And we're going to be living 1,000 years apiece. I know that. That's why I do what I do. And don't let anything else external block you or move you in any other direction. And if you keep knowing this inside of you, then it doesn't matter what happens outside. It doesn't matter what anybody says is happening or isn't happening in some part of the world, or isn't happening in your family, or isn't happening in your community. If you can let go of fear, I think that's the greatest things we are doing right now, is we are releasing fear. And as each one of us releases fear from within us, then we assist others to do the same. And when we do that, then our world shifts. it completely shifts. It is shifting now. It will be shifting. And then we move into an era of 1,000 years of peace, 1,000 years of exploring humanity with our greatest creativity, with our greatest capacity to communicate, with our greatest be able to, communicate with trees and water and each other in an incredible way. And that's where we are headed. That is what we're doing. I know this. I've seen it. It's a visceral part of me and everything that I do. And I just want to tell people that no matter what happens out there, remember that. Remember that everything is okay. Remember that things are happening perfectly as they need to. Remember that you are a powerful creator. It's not about what you create in terms of the house you have or the money you have or the car you have. No. That was just another illusion put up for another game. That's not it. You are an incredible creator. You are source in a body. We all are. And we need to each sit with that and own that and be comfortable with that. And from there, we will create an incredible, fascinating world, more amazing than anything we've dreamed up so far in any science fiction or sci-fi movie or paradise story. It is what we are doing, and it is an absolute honor and privilege that we are all here doing this together. I want to thank everybody, and this is who I am. This is who you are, and I can't wait till we all play together some more.
Perfect. A masterpiece of an hour we've had with Antonia Hagens, and masterpiece. Can you give us your website one more time? Masterpiece.
That website is Masterpiece Life, masterpiecelife.com. And
you can find all we talked about it through the call this hour. Thank you so much, Sister Antonia.
And thank you, Elizabeth, and thank you for having me on today. Sorry I have to cut it short, but here in Canada for us, this is our Thanksgiving weekend. So
go give thanks and love, give them children hugs and kisses.
I will, and I want to thank everybody for being here together, and it's been wonderful to communicate. So sending everybody lots of love, namaste, and so looking forward to when we all connect again. And
absolutely.
Also, if you join the community by putting your name and email address in the Join Us box on the top right-hand corner of masterpiecelife.com, then you'll be notified about any of the programs or interviews that I do as they come up.
Absolutely. And maybe next time you come back, you can share a little with us of what you know in your heart because you've seen it. Just a little bit, okay?
All right.
Okay, love you. Thank you so much.
Lots of love. Thanks, Elizabeth, and we look forward to connecting again soon. And Ray, thank you for being on here tonight as well. Oh, sorry, I keep connecting. Cease to talking in the evening.
Yes,
it was a pleasure.
That's okay.
It was a pleasure connecting with you, Ray.
You too.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Have a great holiday.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, there you have it, guys. Is there anybody on that wants to come in really quick and say hi? I have a little more, and I have Ray here with me, and this star 6. I heard you, Ray. What'd you think? Any thoughts?
Yeah, that was awesome. She's a smart person.
Very awesome.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff we can journey in our own lives with, which I'm going to do. Make it a point to more.
Yes.
Okay. Anything you want to share, Ray? What's been going on with you?
Oh, just that we got a lot of changes going on, and there will be many UFO sightings starting in November on, so that the people down here on this planet will get used to seeing them, and will kind of ease the panic, so to speak.
Yeah, that's right. Your Fab 4 shared that with you. In November, there's going to be a ramp up of UFO sightings, or ship sightings, right? We forgot to talk about that on last week. So what did they actually tell you? How did they tell you? Or do you want to just recap that again?
Well, it's just that just November will be the starting month, but December, all the way through, as we go through this, there will be many, many UFO sightings that people will get used to seeing different crafts, kind of ease the panic as we're going through the process between now 2014 all the way up to the major year 2017. It's a major year for us, and we're getting real close to contact, and this is why they're getting ready to do what they're supposed to do to take the panic and scare out of people. They're going to see these different crafts in the sky. They're not there to harm anyone.
Here, you got to speak up a little, Ray.
They're not there to harm anyone. They just want people to understand they're here for us, and they want everybody to see many, many, many crafts. And
many craft, and there's many different kinds, many different shapes, many different colors.
Yes.
Beautiful, right? What I've heard from you and saw in your pictures, they're beautiful.
Yeah, they're very beautiful at night. They're amazing colors and amazing crafts.
Great. Okay, so if I can step in here a minute, I want to play this 10-minute audio, and I got to go put a movie on for the grandkids. I'll just do the news really quick, Ray, and stay tuned, and we'll keep on talking. I do have other things to bring in. Okay, what is this? Let's see. This, I'm very encouraged. For the last month or two, I've just been bringing world change news that encourages us that, yes, our old paradigm is crumbling, and this is the time for the new, like Antonia has been speaking about today. So this will just encourage you that it is vitally crumbling and fast. What I've said and talked about for a long time, the mainstream propaganda media news is one of the strongest holds, if not the strongest hold, the last one to fall, to crumble, and to take down the veils. And check this out. Let me go to here and read this. Mainstream journalist comes clean. Their time is up. And this was just posted this week. If not today. There's a rebel lying deep in my soul. Top German journalist and editor Dr. Udo Altruset has just gone public with some shocking admissions. He basically admitted what all of us who read the alternative media have known for a long time. The entire mainstream media is totally fake. He went into a very detailed talk in this video and spilled the beans about everything. He talked about he talked about how the CIA gets control over all of the major journalists. He is sick of the lying and decided to go public with everything he knows. He's already had 3 heart attacks and decided he didn't care anymore about what they would do to him. He's a real hero. There is an amazing video that must be shared with every human that hasn't woken up yet and still believes anything they see on Fox News and the rest of the fraud media. For the first time in history, a well-known journalist has come forward and told all the secrets. Our news is completely fake, and he tells you how it operates. And there's a 13-minute video with this. It's him talking. Also, Andrew Bartzis has shared probably over a year or two ago now that, we'll be seeing, when it gets close to the Dreamtime event, he calls it, we'll be seeing media people inside the media waking up because all of us, our consciousness is expanding. And because they know, if you work in the media, you know how it is controlled. They're to make money and, they got to feed a family and everything, right? But they'll be going against the grain, so to speak, and coming out. And, and then, once the people in the world hear these media people who are kind of like our teachers, our guides, our mentors, because we watch the news and we know them well-known, even more well-known ones will come out. Then the people outside will stand up together and say, no more of this. We want the real stuff. We want the truth, the good news, and not the fake stuff. And, So this is very pertinent that this is happening. It's awesome. And there was another one I blogged last week. that went mainstream too and brought out the truth. And I will put this on the blog. I haven't yet. So is that okay, Ray? Would you like to listen to this? This is pretty cool. Okay. This is on RT News. RT News is a news channel in Russia. Okay, here we go. It's 13 minutes long.
Well, I've been a journalist for about 25 years, and I was educated to lie, to betray, and not to tell the truth to the public. But seeing right now, within the last months, how far how the German and American media tries to bring war to the people in Europe, to bring war to Russia. This is a point of no return, and I'm going to stand up and say it is not right what I have done in the past to manipulate people, to make propaganda against Russia, and it is not right what my colleagues do and have done in the past, because they are bribed to betray the people, not only in Germany, all over Europe. The reason writing this book was that I am very fearful of a new war in Europe, and I don't like to have this situation again, because war is never coming from itself. There is always people behind it to push for war. And this is not only politicians, this is journalists too. And I just have written in the book how we have betrayed in the past our readers just to push for war, and because I don't want this anymore. I'm fed up with this propaganda. We live in a banana republic and not in a democratic country where we have press freedom, where we have human rights. If you see the German media, especially my colleagues who day by day write against the Russians, who are in transatlantic organizations and who are supported by the United States to do so, well, people like me, I became an honorary citizen of the state of Oklahoma in the United States. Just why? Just because I write pro-American. I wrote pro-American. I was supported by the Central Intelligence Agency, by the CIA. Why? Because I should be pro-American. I'm fed up with it. I don't want to do it anymore. And so I've just written a book not to earn money. No, it will cause a lot of trouble for me, just to give the people in this country, in Germany, in Europe, and all over the world, just to give them a glimpse of a view what goes up behind the closed doors. Yes, there's many examples for that. If we go just back to history, if you go into the year 1988, if you go to your archives, you will find in March 1988 there was in Iraq the Kurdish people have been gassed with poisoned gas. That is known all over the world. But in July 1988, they sent me to a town called Zubaydat, that is on the Iraqi-Iranian border. There was war. It was war between the Iranians and the Iraqis, and I was sent there to photograph how the Iranians have been gassed with poisoned gas, with German poisoned gas. You call it Lost and Zarine, mustard gas, made by Germany. They have been gassed, and I was there to make photographs how these people have been killed by poison gas from Germany. When I came back to Germany, there was just one small photo in a newspaper, in the Frankfurter Allgemeine, and there was one small article not writing how impressive, brutally, how unhuman, how terrible it was to kill decades after the end of the Second World War, people with German poisoned gas. So this was a situation I feel misused for having been there and just to give a documentary what has been done, but not being allowed to cry out to the world what we have done behind closed doors. Up to today, it's not well known in the public that was German public gas. There have been hundreds or thousands of people gassed in this city of Zubaydat. Now, you asked, what have I done for intelligence agencies? So please see, most of the journalists you see in foreign countries, they claim to be journalists, and they might be journalists, European or American journalists, but many of them, like me in the past, are so-called non-official cover. That's what the Americans call that. I have been a non-official cover. Non-official cover means what? It means you too work for an intelligence agency. You help them if they want you to help them, but they will never, when you are locked, or when they find out that you are not only a journalist but a spy too, they will never say, "Oh, this was one of our guys." They will not know you. That means non-official cover. So I have helped them in several situations, and I feel ashamed for that too now. Like I feel ashamed that I have worked for a very recommended newspaper like the Frankfurter Allgemeine, because I was bribed by billionaires, I was bribed by the Americans not to report exactly the truth, but I just imagined in my car while I was driving to this interview, I just tried to work out in my brain what would have happened if I would have written a pro-Russian article in the Frankfurter Allgemeine. Well, I don't know what would have happened, but we were all educated to write pro-European, pro-American, but please, not pro-Russian. So I'm very sorry for that, but this is not what I understand for democracy and for press freedom. I'm very sorry for that. Well, yes, I understand your question very well. Germany is still a kind of a colony of the United States. You see that in many points, like the majority of the Germans don't want to have nukes in our country, but we still have American nukes. So we are still a kind of a colony of the Americans. And being a colony, it is very easy to approach young journalists through what is very important here is transatlantic organizations. All journalists from really respected and recommended big German newspapers, magazines, radio stations, TV stations, they are all members or guests of those big transatlantic organizations. And there, in these transatlantic organizations, you are approached to be pro-American, and there is nobody coming to you and saying, well, we are the Central Intelligence Agency, would you like to work for us? No, this is not the case how it happens. What they do, these transatlantic organizations, is they invite you for seeing the United States. They pay for that. They pay all your expenses and everything. So you're bribed. You get more and more corrupt because they make you good contacts. You won't know that those good contacts are, let's say, non-official covers or officially people working for Central Intelligence Agency or other American agencies. So you make friends. You think they are friends, and you cooperate with them. They ask you, well, could you do me this favor? Could you do me that favor? And so your brain more and more is brainwashed through these guys. And your question was, is this only the case with German journalists? No, I think it is especially the case with British journalists, because they have a much closer relationship. It is especially the case with Israelis, of course, with French journalists for a part, not that big as with German or with British journalists. It is the case for Australian journalists, for journalists from New Zealand, from Taiwan, there is many countries in the Arab world, like Jordan, for example, like Oman, the Sultanate of Oman. There is many countries where this happens, where you find people to claim they are respected journalists, but if you look behind them, you'll find they are puppets on a string of the Central Intelligence Agency. And I'm sorry for interrupting you. I'll give you one example. Sometimes the intelligence agencies, they come to your office and want you to write an article. I give you an example not from strange other journalists, from me myself. I've just forgotten the year. I just remember that the German Foreign Intelligence, Bundesnachrichtendienst. It is just a sister organization of the Central Intelligence Agency. It was founded by the American Intelligence Agency. So one day, the BND, this German Foreign Intelligence Agency, came to my office at the Frankfurter Allgemeine in Frankfurt. And they wanted me to write an article about Libya and about Colonel Muammar Gaddafi. I had absolutely no secret information regarding Colonel Muammar Gaddafi and Libya. But they gave me all these secret information, and they just wanted me to write, to find the article with my name. I did that, but it was an article that was published in the Frankfurter Allgemeine that originally came from the Bundesnachrichtendienst, from the German Foreign Intelligence Agency. So do you really think that this is journalism, intelligence agencies writing articles? Oh yes, that article, I have reprinted it partly in my book. That article was how Libya and Colonel Muammar Gaddafi, how he secretly tried to build a poison gas factory. I think in Rabta was the name, yeah. And I got all those information. It was a story that was printed worldwide 2 days later. But I had no information on that. It was the intelligence agency that wanted me to write this article. But this is not the way journalism should work, that intelligence agencies, that they decide what is printed and what not. If I say no, I give you an example from a very good example if you say no. Well, we have a rescue unit in Germany with helicopters for traffic accidents. It's called, they call themselves the Yellow Angels. There was one guy who didn't want to cooperate. He was a pilot of the helicopter service of the Yellow Angels in Germany. This guy said no to the Foreign Intelligence Service, Bundesnachrichtendienst, when they approached him and wanted him as a non-official cover to work for the German Foreign Intelligence Agency, just to pretend to be somebody from the Yellow Angels. So what happened was that he lost his job. And the court in Germany, the judge decided that they were right, because such a guy could not be trusted. He was kicked off his job because he didn't cooperate with the Foreign Intelligence Service. So I knew what happened if I would not cooperate with intelligence services. Well, I have had, 6 times my house was house searched because I was accused by the public prosecutor, the German public prosecutor. I was accused of leaking secrets of states. 6 times house searched. Well, they hoped that I wouldn't do that ever again. But I think it's worse that the truth will come out one day. The truth won't die. And I don't mind what will happen. I've had 3 heart attacks. I have no children. So if they want to bring me to court or to prison, so it's worse for the truth.
What a brave man.
Yeah.
There you have it in a nutshell. You know, he kind of described what the journalists go through in all kinds of media. It's infiltrated with the octopus, I'll just say, with that. And now I look for, this is coming out, another guy came out last week. I look for now the mainstream announcers to come out in some way, even the ones that sit behind the desk and, you know, the CNN News, Fox News, them to rebel, for lack of a different word, and bring out the truth. Because when you're hired as a journalist, you go to school, you think you're going to report the news that the truth of something and bring that out to the people. Well, you get a wide eyes opening once you get a job, especially a big wig job up there, and find how it's all ran like a mafia, huh?
Yeah, it's all controlled.
So what I wanted to bring out with that, too, just know he talks about the CIA agency ran. You know, they run the journalist, and it's all hooked up, talks about going to the court judge, and, you know, they're all hooked up partying together. But within the CIA, there is a shadow CIA, which is, just the bad guys doing all this stuff, what he described. There's also ones that aren't aware of all this corruption going on in the CIA or in other governments and, the courts and stuff. And then there is also another group that's infiltrated of good guys that know what's going on because, this truth is set to come out years back, and, lots of things happened where people got murdered. There was a whole plane that got taken down with generals that were going to spill the beans, and so they've kind of learned the hard way how to bring the truth out, and so there's a good guy infiltration in there. He did say transatlantic, with the German, USA, all hooked up. There's also a transatlantic financial system, and that's why, that's all hooked up together. So, we see the stock market go up and down, and that's manipulation too. But the Federal Reserve Bank is all hooked up all around the world, transatlantic. And the other thing he brought out was false flags, a little bit how those are done, and I have a little story about that. And he talked about Muammar Gaddafi in the Middle East. Now, Muammar Gaddafi, what he talked about, they told him, gave him news to bring out. If you do your research, and this guy probably knows, Muammar Gaddafi was a good guy. He was helping his people. He was helping the people in the Middle East, and he was the president there, whatever you call him there. And he was helping them. He was giving them monies. He was getting their own money backed by their own assets with, like gold and silver in the USA. At the same time, the Federal Reserve Bank, the private bank, the treasonous one, was trying to bring theirs there. And this is why Muammar Gaddafi died. He was murdered. So that happened a couple years ago. Wow, this is significant, you guys. It gives us a thermometer, a temperature of where we're at in all this. What do you think, Ray?
Yeah, there's a lot more. There's a lot that's been hidden. And but all this is going to change.
Absolutely. And it is changing. And here's the other news that goes kind of with that is U.S. intel. And we studied a lot of false flag incidents, a day after they came out. And even 2 years ago, probably 3 days after they happened, the intel world, the truthers, have already proved it was a false flag. Remember that, Bev, the calls we were on? We studied the Sandy Hook one and others in the movie theater, all other kinds before that and after that. U.S. intel, over 200 going to jail over Sandy Hook false flag. Veterans Today brought out an article. I'll blog that too. If you have not heard Veterans Today radio or listened to some of the archived shows, then you're going to now learn why Veterans Today is the #1 news website and radio show in the world. They have thousands of intelligence agents all over the world that give them information, and Gordon Duff has more power than you can imagine. So these are the good guy intels infiltrated in the CIA, the military, and all that. They put the truth out. I'm going to skip down. They put out the truth on Sandy hoax first to and introduced Wolfgang Halberg to the world on Veterans Today. Okay. Anyway, that'll be in this article. You guys can read it about the 200 going to jail over that. That got busted wide open after probably about 3 or 4 days it occurred. And then the other thing was regarding Thrive Movement, really quick. Thrive Movement posted today. That was done, started by, what's his name? Johnson. It's a big guy. It's in a corporation, but he's a younger generation. He's for the truth. I'll think of it. Dear Thrive Movement, the Thrive team is busy creating a new initiative that will launch November 1st. This opportunity will invite you behind the scenes to engage directly with us on emerging issues and solution strategies. We won't have any other blogs before that, so stay tuned. Procter & Gamble, he's from, the Gamble family. So what I'm saying is, at the same time, the house is crumbling, the matrix solutions, and we're creating our new world at the same time. It's all going at the same time. and building up to a pinnacle moment where it all just comes out and hangs loose, huh?
That's right.
Yeah. So does anybody have anything to interject, any comments, questions at this time? *6. Any thoughts, Ray?
No, just that there's going to be a lot of changes for the better. It's going to be a more beautiful, peaceful planet.
Pardon?
It'll be a more peaceful planet, beautiful planet. Things are going to change for the better.
Yes. It's going to be awesome.
What we're all waiting for.
Okay, Ray, if you don't mind, where did that go? I was going to read, where did I set it? Oh, here it is. From this will just encourage us. It'll weave things together. A book I just picked up lately that I've read a long time ago before I even started waking up. But maybe I was waking up then and didn't even know it, right? What a conundrum, right? It's called The Power of Now, A Guide to Spiritual Enlightenment. Because the power now, being in the now moment, is what these energies are pushing us to, is just to be in the now, every single second of the day, and enjoy it, the experience. And then I have a video, an audio to play. Andrew Bartzett's, a Q&A session they did recently. There's some deep stuff in there. So if you guys don't understand it all, you can ask questions. Maybe I can answer it. But it's really good stuff if you want to go beyond awakening, huh? Does that sound okay, Ray?
Sounds fine.
Okay. Well, this is just and I may read more out of this book through the shows, too, that we have free. But I want to read just the beginning. It's called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, Tolle. One of the best books to come along in years. Every sentence rings with truth and power. And this was published back in the 90s, I think. Let me look. And it's just got astounding information as I read it now. Let me look. Where does it say? 1997. And then again, originally published in Canada. Lots of good things come out of Canada. Antonia and Franco and James is there. 1997, and then first U.S. printing, September 1999. It says, "You are here to enable the divine purpose of the universe to unfold." You are here to enable the divine purpose of the universe to unfold. That is how important you are. And then I want to read the preface, publisher's preface by Mark Allen, author of Visionary Business and Visionary Life. Says, perhaps once a decade or even once in a generation, a book like The Power of Now comes along. It is more than a book. There is a living energy in it, one you can probably feel as you hold it. It has the power to create an experience in readers and change their lives for the better. The Power of Now was first published in Canada, and the Canadian publisher Connie Kello told me she heard repeated stories of positive changes and even miracles that have happened once people got into the book. Readers call in, she said, and so many of them tell me of the wonderful healings, transformations, and increased joy they are experiencing because they have embraced this book. That was back in the 90s. You know, The book makes me aware that every moment of my life is a miracle. This is absolutely true, whether I realize it or not. And The Power of Now, over and over, shows me how to realize it. From the first page of his writing, it is clear that Eckhart Tolle is a contemporary master. He is not aligned with any particular religion or doctrine or guru. His teaching embraces the heart, the Christian, Hindu, Buddhist, Muslim, indigenous, or anything else. He is able to do what all the great masters have done, to show us in simple and clear language that the way, the truth, and the light is within us. Eckhart Tolle begins by briefly introducing us to his story, a story of early depression and despair that culminated in a tremendous experience of awakening one night not long after his 29th birthday. For the past 20 years, he has reflected on that experience, meditated, and deepened his understanding. In the last decade, he has become a world-class teacher, a great soul with a great message, one that Christ taught, one that Buddha taught. A state of enlightenment is attainable here and now. It is possible to live free of suffering, free of anxiety and neurosis. To do this, we have to come to understand our role as the creator of our pain. Our own mind causes our problems. No other people, not the world out there. It is our own mind with its nearly constant stream of thoughts, thinking about the past, worrying about the future. We make the great mistake of identifying with our mind, thinking that's who we are, when, in fact, we are far greater beings. Over and over, Eckhart Tolle shows us how to connect with what he calls our being. Being is the eternal, ever-present one life beyond the myriad forms of life that are subject to birth and death. However, being is not only beyond, but also deep within every form as its innermost, invisible, and indestructible essence. This means that it is accessible to you now as your own deepest self, your true nature. But don't seek to grasp it with your mind. Don't try to understand it. You can know it only when the mind is still, when you are present, fully and intensely in the now. To regain awareness of being and to abide in that state of feeling realization is enlightenment. That's what Antonia talked a lot about. The power of now is nearly impossible to read straight through. It requires you to put it down periodically and reflect on the words and apply them to your own life experience. It is a complete guide, a complete course in meditation and realization. It is a book to be revisited again and again. And each time you revisit it, you gain new depth and meaning. It is a book that many people, including me, will want to study for a lifetime. The Power of Now has a growing number of devoted readers. It has already been called a masterpiece. Oh my God, that's funny. Masterpiece Live. Whatever it is called, however, it is described. It is a book with the power to change lives, the power to awaken us to fully realize who we are. Now it's written by Mark Allen, Nevada, California, USA, August 1999. And then I'm just going to read the foreword here, and we'll be done. Foreword is by Russell D. DiCarlo, author of Towards a New World View. Blanketed by an azure sky, the orange-yellow rays of the setting sun can, at special times, gift us with a moment of such considerable beauty. We find ourselves momentarily stunned with frozen gaze. The splendor of the moment so dazzles us. Our compulsively chattering minds give pause, so as not to mentally whisk us away to a place other than the here and now. Bathed in luminous, a door seems to open to another reality, always present, yet rarely witnessed. Abraham Maslow called this peak experiences, since they represent the high moments of life where we joyfully find ourselves catapulted beyond the confines of the mundane and ordinary. He might just as well have called them peak experiences. During these expansive occasions, we sneak a glimpse of the eternal realm of being itself. If only for a brief moment in time, we come home to our true self. Ah, one might sigh, so grand, if only I could stay here. But how do I take up permanent residence? During the past 10 years, I have committed myself to finding out. During my search, I have been honored to engage in dialogue with some of the most daring, inspiring, and insightful paradigm pioneers of our time in medicine, science, psychology, business, religion, spirituality, and human potential. This diverse group of individuals is joined by their commonly voiced insight that humanity is now taking a quantum leap forward in its evolutionary development. This change is accompanied by a shift in worldview. This was written in 1999, or published. A shift in worldview. Change the page. The basic picture we carry with us of the way things are, a worldview seeks to answer two fundamental questions. Who are we? And what is the nature of the universe in which we live? Our answers to these questions dictate the quality and characteristics of our personal relationships with family, friends, employers, employees. When considered on a larger scale, they define society. It should be of little surprise that the worldview which is emerging calls into question many of the things Western society holds to be true. Myth 1. Humanity has reached the pinnacle of its development. Esalen co-founder Michael Murphy, drawing upon comparative religious studies, medical science, anthropology, and sports, has made a provocative case that there are more advanced stages of human development. As a person reaches these advanced levels of spiritual maturity, extraordinary capacities begin to blossom of love, vitality, personhood, bodily awareness, intuition, perception, communication, and volition. First step, to recognize they exist. We're in that step, huh? Most people do not. Then methods can be employed with conscious intention. That's myth 1. I mean, debunking myth 1, humanity has reached the pinnacle of its development. No, we're limitless.
Right.
Myth 2, we are completely separate from each other, nature and the cosmos. This myth of other than me has been responsible for wars, the rape of the planet, and all forms and expressions of human injustice. After all, who in their right mind would harm another if they experienced that person as part of themselves? Stan Grof, in his research of non-ordinary states of consciousness, summarizes by saying, the psyche and consciousness of each of us is, in the last analysis, commensurate with all that is, because there are no absolute boundaries between the body, ego, and the totality of existence. Dr. Larry Dossey's Era 3 medicine, where the thoughts, attitudes, and healing intentions of one individual can influence the physiology of another person. In contrast to Era 2, prevailing mind-body medicine is very well supported by scientific studies into the healing power of prayer. Now, this can't happen according to the known principles of physics and worldview of traditional science, yet the preponderance of evidence suggests that indeed it does. That as we heal, one heals, all, are healing at the same time. We help others. As we help ourselves heal, we help others heal at that same time. Isn't that awesome? Because we're one, right?
Right.
Myth 3, the physical world is all there is. Oh, boy. Materialistically bound, traditional science assumes that anything that cannot be measured, tested in a laboratory, or probed by the 5 senses or their technological extensions simply doesn't exist. It's not real. The consequence, all of reality has been collapsed into physical reality. Spiritual, or what I could call non-physical dimensions of reality, have been run out of town. This clashes with the perennial philosophy, that philosophical consensus spanning ages, religions, traditions, and cultures, which describes different but continuous dimensions of reality. These run from the most dense and least conscious, what we call matter, to the least dense and most conscious, which we'd call spiritual, or our star brothers and sisters, right, or other dimensions. Interestingly enough, this extended multidimensional model of reality is suggested by quantum theorists such as Jack Scarfetti, who describes superluminal travel. Other dimensions of reality are used to explain travel that occurs faster than the speed of light. The ultimate of speed of lights the ultimate of speed limits. Or consider the work of legendary physicist David Bohm with his explicit physical and implicit non-physical multidimensional model of reality. This is no mere theory. The 1982 aspect experiment in France demonstrated that 2 once-connected quantum particles separated by vast distances remained somehow connected. If one particle was changed, the other changed instantly. They're miles away. Thousands of miles away. Scientists don't know the mechanics of how this faster than the speed of light travel can happen, though some theorists suggest that this connection takes place via doorways into higher dimensions. So, contrary to what those who pledge their allegiance to the traditional paradigm might think, the influential, pioneering individuals I spoke with felt that we have not reached the pinnacle of human development. We are connected rather than separate from all life, and that the full spectrum of consciousness encompasses both physical and a multitude of non-physical dimensions of reality. At core, this new world view involves seeing yourself, others, and all of life, not through the eyes of our small earthly self that lives in time and is born in time, but rather through the eyes of the soul, our being, the true self. One by one, people are jumping to this higher orbit. With this book, The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle rightfully takes his place among this special group of world-class teachers. Eckhart's message, the problem of humanity is deeply rooted in the mind itself, or rather, our misidentification with mind. Our drifting awareness, our tendency to take the path of least resistance by being less than fully awake to the present moment, creates a void. And the time-bound mind, which has been designed to be a useful servant, compensates by proclaiming itself master. Like a butterfly flittering from one flower to another, the mind engages past experiences or projecting its own made-for-television movie, anticipates what is to come. Seldom do we find ourselves resting in the ocean depth of the here and now, for it is here, in the now, where we find our true self, which lies behind our physical body, shifting emotions and chattering mind. The crowning glory of human development rests not in our ability to reason and think, though this is what distinguishes us from animals. Intellect, like instinct, is merely a point along the way. Our ultimate destiny is to reconnect with our essential being and express from our extraordinary divine reality in the ordinary physical world. Moment by moment, easy to say yet rare are those who have attained the further reaches of human development. Fortunately, there are guides and teachers to help us along the way. As a teacher and guide, Eckhart's formidable power lies not in his adept ability to delight us with entertaining stories, make the abstract concrete, or provide useful technique. Rather, his magic is seated in his personal experience as one who knows. As a result, there is a power behind his words, found only in the most celebrated of spiritual teachers. By living from the depths of this greater reality, Eckhart clears an energetic pathway for others to join him, just like Antonia did for us today. And what if others do? Surely the world as we know it would change for the better. Values would shift in the flotsam of vanishing fears that have been funneled away through the whirlpool of being itself. A new civilization would be born. Where's the proof of this greater reality, you ask? I offer only an analogy. A battery of scientists can get together and tell you about all the scientific proof for the fact that bananas are bitter. But all you have to do is taste one once to realize that there is this whole other aspect to bananas. Ultimately, proof lies not in intellectual arguments, but in being touched in some way by the sacred within and without. And that's the times we're in today. We're proving to ourselves tangibly within and without who we really are. Eckhart Tolle masterfully opens us to that possibility. Russell E. DiCarlo, author Towards a New World View. Conversations at the Leading Edge, Erie, Pennsylvania, USA, January 1998. Okay, and then I just have 3 paragraphs left. And this is the acknowledgments part of the book. I am deeply thankful. He's just thanking people. Sorry, I'm done. Any thoughts, anybody? Ray?
No, just that it'd be a wonderful world that we're going to be living in as we go forward. I know that. And the vibrations, consciousness of the people down here and what's going to take place.
Yeah. Did I hear somebody come in? *6. You want to come in, too. Yes, indeed. And it's a nice sunny day in Minnesota. It's going to be another week. I like to skip the snow this year. That'd be nice.
Elizabeth?
Hi.
Hi. Eckhart wrote another book.
Yeah?
It's A New Earth, Awakening Your Life's Purpose. And that was on Oprah's book club.
Oh, when was it? Just recently?
No, well, 2005, I think it was published.
Did you read that book?
I did. I read both of these books. I highly recommend them.
Oh, you read The Power of Now and the other one, huh?
Right.
Nice. Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, so they're both great. They really are.
What's the other one called?
A New Earth, Awakening Your Life's Purpose.
Beautiful.
It was number 1 on the New York Times bestseller.
Ah. Now, Eckhart Tolle sounds really familiar to me. Did he make a movie or something?
I don't know, but a lot of people talk about him periodically, so you probably heard it, someplace.
Yeah. And by the way, you mentioned Oprah. Oprah's a media person, she's a role model for a lot of people. Do you realize she left the mainstream media because they were bullying her around? She wanted to do things that, you get controlled there. So that's why I think one of the reasons she left and went to her own, cable show.
Oh,
huh?
I didn't know that. I also heard that she was a Jesuit, so I don't know if they were trying to poo-poo her or what they were doing.
See, this is the confusion they bring in, so we don't really know who she is, but...
Right,
yeah,
right.
So, Ray, you've said something about her. You want to bring anything in?
About Oprah?
Yeah.
She knows what's going on. She just has,
See?
She has to watch what she says. I mean, she knows a lot.
So one of these days, consciousness, she's just going to get to that corner of the room where, okay, I'm not going to hold it back anymore. I'm going to let it roar, like this guy did today on the audio we listened to. And Oprah was invited, let's hook this with President Obama, who wasn't president then. He was doing his pre-campaign in, New York City, that park? Remember that? They filmed that, and lots of people came. Oprah was a guest. Oprah came there, and then people took pictures. There was tons of orbs in that audience. Those are star beings and spirits and other dimensions.
A lot of energy in them orbs.
Yeah, because, they say President Obama is a bad guy, too, and, he's a puppet, but he is double agent, what I heard, So we'll see how that goes. Thanks for bringing that in, Bev.
Okay.
Yeah, how is your music going? Any other new things going on there?
Well, I did go and get a hearing aid.
Okay.
On a trial basis. They put it in, I think, for 2 weeks, and it was one that doesn't come out. It can come out, but it fit inside my ear. Well, anyway, they put it in my better ear. I don't know why.
Wow.
And the music kind of was still there, but it was softer. It was harder to hear and not quite so much. And then I went and had it taken out because I don't want it. And,
good for you. And
I'm going to try another one. But
did
not
you ask
that
them? Did you comment to them that that's not the ear I can't hear out of?
Yes, I did. And she said, "Well, that's okay." That's what they do.
Really? That's kind of strange.
Yeah, I know. Well, maybe the other one was too bad. I really don't know. But anyway, the music is back, and it's louder now.
Cool.
So it's still there. It's still there.
Well, do a couple of experiments. Think of some situations, because you follow everything, that you'd like to learn more about, and then just imagine you're there in that room where they're having a conversation deep down in. Huh?
Did I tell you why my husband showed up?
Right after you woke up and you saw him?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, did he show up again?
No, just that one time.
Well, we declare that those hearing aids will tune you in even better instead of go the opposite of what whoever wants it to, right?
Yeah.
Tune you in.
Oh, well, I keep trying.
That's great. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to mute out.
Okay, dear. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
What do you think about that, Ray?
Pretty cool. She's a spunky gal. She's cool. I like that.
Yeah, she's a spunky gal. I love her, too. Yeah. Anybody else have any comments, questions, anything they want to bring in? Star 6. Okay, well, we're going to go beyond awakening. You guys want to hear some good stuff? It's only there's a little bit of healing stuff that he talks about that can add to your base colonics and stuff like that. And then they ask about some history people and dream time, and I don't remember the rest, but it's really good. You ready to listen to it?
Go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and take off. I got some things I got to do. My computer's all messed up.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us, Ray, today.
Thanks for having me, sweetheart. I'll be talking to you later on.
Oh, yeah, and you guys just stand by because remember, November 1st, Ray is the one that arranged this roundtable with Tole, Ray, who else?
Alfred Weber. Laura,
Dr. Alfred Weber, yeah.
Magdalene Eisenhower.
Laura Magdalene Eisenhower, granddaughter of President Eisenhower.
Yeah, you, T.J. Morris. There's 6 of us.
And we're gonna, and the one hosting it is they're living in Hawaii, but everybody that's coming, Laura, me, we're gonna simulcast this show, so it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
We're gonna have it's just a leap, an upgrade. So we had Franco for that leap of consciousness. That's number 166, I believe. And since then, we've been leaping every call. So stay tuned.
Okay.
Thanks, Ray, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, you take care.
You too.
Bye.
Okay, these guys, this is Andrew Bartz. It's a Q&A they have, and the young lady that helps him. And this is 50 minutes, 50. And then I think we'll be done. It's really good stuff. Here we go. Go beyond awakenings. Fasten your seatbelts. Here we go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our next week Q&A. I'm Danielle Lynn, and we're joined in voice and spirit by Andrew. Hi, Andrew.
Hello, everyone. As I am not a video today, I am just a clock in the background. And I'm testing my radio voice because the video here where I'm at won't allow us to broadcast video at the same time.
Being very selective, but at least we have your awesome radio voice with us.
That is correct, ladies and gentlemen. We are in rare form today.
the talking astrolabe.
The talking astrolabe is saying, we will get into Q&A in just a moment.
So how have you been, Andrew?
Oh, things have been exciting. I've been working on a book project, and Danielle knows quite a bit about it, and it'll be coming out pretty soon. That's what I've been doing in the background. People have been asking what's going on, and the thing is that it's time to put out the next layer of information. And a lot of the questions that we've gotten from the week Q&A have led to, writing a book on a certain subjects or groups of subjects. These aren't going to be terribly long books, but they're going to be things that will explain what 1 degree of separation is, what the Akashic record is, what the galactic historian is. Those that regularly listen, you've heard me say the story time and time again. And when I put it into text, it's quite different. has a very different way of impacting because it doesn't have that timeless voice attached to it.
Beautiful. Definitely something that's been really exciting to see Andrew work on because he gets so animated as an author and writer. And as these are coming out, we'll definitely be sharing little excerpts with the lead. So that's something special that you can look forward to. So,
I'd like to encourage people that we are having a survey of times that we are going to do other radio shows. We would like you to go to that survey. We are planning to put more shows out. Fridays we do a Law and Sovereignty show. Every other Saturday we do a reading show. We're going to be adding 2 reading shows per month, and these are going to be very special shows. So we want to know what times. Organizing a schedule a month or 2 or 3 or 5 months in advance can be quite tricky at times. So we are asking people to go to that survey and fill out that information, please.
Wonderful. And I'm feeling wonderful today, too.
Yes, you just had your first experience really taking the detox at a new level. You've told your story before about telling your story to the fire and how that worked for you, and now you're working at a whole different layer of alchemizing what's coming through you.
Exactly. So I've been, Andrew talks a lot about the importance of fire, of alchemy, and of detox. And in this case, I actually just had my first series of colonics, and that's a pretty intense experience, but it's quite wonderful. After you have a colonic, one of the first things you notice is you actually feel almost like a spiritual weight has been lifted off of you. It's like if you were wearing like a heavy metal vest, and someone just went, and you just feel lighter.
I call it 1,000 pounds spiritually lighter.
Yeah, exactly. What were you saying? Because a lot of times, how did you explain it? Like when you're alchemizing stuff, it'll put it there in your body, so it doesn't affect you as much. Is that how you were?
When you're going through the alchemization process, you're taking that which is in your outer aura or dense into the muscles, and you're beginning a process of shaking. And that shaking means the energy muscle and the physical muscle extrude fluid. That fluid has toxins in it and psychic data. The body is a reception unit, and then you have a nervous system that's attached to every part of the body that feeds the brain, and the brain feeds the information to the heart. The heart goes through the perception process. When the heart is disconnected from the brain, it isn't able to go through full alchemy. And what it does, it stores dense energy in places where it would go to your liver or it would go to your intestinal tract, so your armpits could get clogged, or different ventrals and stuff into different parts of your body can get clogged. And when you are trying to detox, you have to come to the point of understanding that those dense energies are broken up specifically in those areas. So when you were having your part of the colonic, your body was ready. You could even see the change in the colors of what was going on, meaning all parts of the dense blockages or dams was gone, and there you were, able to have a full detox and not have to spend 14 weeks on a toilet.
Yep. So it's very important for those of you who are looking to really cleanse yourself out and to detox yourself. This is a wonderful, wonderful step to take, and it's highly encouraged.
So when you're storing dense energy, you store it in the mucus layer in your intestinal tract. And that is the biggest key to alchemy, is when you're realizing that you're releasing large amounts of mucus. And that is the same thing that people that are fasting, that have learned from tens of millions of years ago. Fasting is an ancient tradition amongst all religions, amongst all concepts. And when you reach a point that your body has digested absolutely everything in the intestinal tract, the only thing in the intestinal tract is water and what the blood is releasing as toxins. And once the mucus layer is gone, there's no negative psychic data there. That means none of the emotional energy is sticking, none of the exterior energy is sticking. You are solely in the energies of the self. And once you're in the energies of the self, you can create energy inside yourself to feed off of. And then nothing else has access to that service of food. So when you begin to take food back in your stomach and come back into the bubble, this bubble of reality, you have a center core connection to those that went without, and so you were completely expelled out, and there was just you in that frequency of knowingness of what detox is, of what fasting is, what prayer is, and all those things that are connected to that. There's so many people that try to detox and they don't have the prayer side to it. You absolutely must have the prayer side attached to all of your detoxes. Makes it so much easier.
Thank you for that, Andrew. Maybe something that we also, for those of you who are hearing this and want to do a detox, also, listen to some of the previous recordings he's made, because he's definitely instructed on things like colon cleanses, detoxes, and of course we have our wonderful spiritual food product that does go into that as well. So these are all resources that you have at your disposal to help you with this process. Okay. So, Andrew, do you feel ready?
Time for questions. Dun, 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 dun. Reach into the wheel of questions, and what has fate won today?
All right. So we do have a ton of questions here. So let's see.
Questions?
Oh, questions and questions and questions. So, okay, so here's one, kind of takes us to the realms of gravity. So could you explain the physics of gravity that allows for air cities to exist?
Well, air cities don't believe in gravity. So you can't use the word physics and gravity to describe air cities. They are an astral construct of the mind in the dream world that have figured out how to become dense enough in their lightness of fourth dimension so that parts of them reflect like a mirror into third dimension, so physical bodies can transit in a sleeping dream state into those astral worlds with part of their body connection. So to reword the question is to understand the whole frequency and equation of what an astral city is, what an astral roadway is, or what a freeway or airport. And they do have all of those constructs that we do. They just function differently. We hear people talking about the door or arch technology where they just walk through a wall and they're on the other side of the world. That's what astral worlds are, ladies and gentlemen. It's not a harsh leap into that science that we've already known this for an immortal amount of time. Mm-hmm. But what are air cities? Like I just said, a density that has made its way into a lighter realm that made itself very dense until it lowered in density and is existing in both simultaneously, two separate dream worlds. And then there's a crossover point where the physical bodies here have a dreaming body. And if you bring part of your dreaming body with you and your physical body, you can cross over to the astral world and then be recharging your dream density over here. And this is how we become massive manifesting beings of co-creation. But it's understanding why you go into that bank account reserve of energy realm and connect to the unity of the world there, because you can come back with everything that's needed for this world, for your reality bubble. But it'll be your choice to manifest it, do it, make it here, and then realize what tools you need here.
You talked briefly about astral travel, actually. In Discover the Greater You, we have a bonus that we discuss astral travel for a while. But for those who haven't heard of it, maybe you could briefly address, too, being aware of astral travel and, being when you're doing it, some of the precautions and awareness you need to have.
Astral travel has many different ways of being described. And the mechanics behind consciousness exploration is very difficult to explain, but astral travel is a word that is used improperly in many scenarios. You have remote viewing, which is not astral travel. That uses your photonic light body as a sensory perception scenario. And then you have your dreaming body, which is stored between your sacrum and your solar plexus inside your intestinal tract. And that comes out of your hara, or center of being, and creates a flower, and that flower then has a little tendril attached to it, and that tendril goes into a dream world. And that is not the same thing as the silver cord that people talk about. And that is separate. That is called an out-of-body experience, when you are still corded at the heart and you've reached a heart-centered perspective in your sleeping state attached to your dreaming body that has a cord separated from it, attached to it. And then that heart opens up and comes out the crown, and then that is an out-of-body experience. That is the silver cord. Astral travel perspective is when we are in almost a sleep state, we become fully aware of our dreaming capabilities and become disciplined at it enough to use all the skill sets that I've just described as a sensory perception scenario in which you begin to manifest 2 arms, 2 legs, a tail, or whatever form that it is that you wish. Astral travel is the discipline of all of the other skill sets that come inherent in the body, so that our experience of the other side, which is not separate from us, has a way to be translated into language that the perceptor can understand.
I see. Is there anything else that you wanted to embellish on in regards to astral travel?
Well, it isn't for everyone. It isn't for everyone. Some people should just solely focus on dreaming out of their center of their gut, because that's what they were much better at their whole life, connecting into the dreaming mind of the world. That's also where your kundalini is. And for those people that don't remember their dreams, they're disconnected from their kundalini at the dream space level. That doesn't mean that they've been fed on. That just means they aren't properly using their bank accounts of energy. And a kundalini energy is something that builds up over many parts of the season of the years. And if you time yourself with the seasons of the years, separate of menstrual cycles, probably to the solar cycle or moon cycle, whatever your personal choice is, then you have more and more energy in reserve. So when you go to have a astral experience, out-of-body experience, or dreaming experience, the physical body has enough fuel to make sure that the I am presence, the translator of the experience, can retain something and then put it inside the cellular memory of the body so it isn't forgotten. You know, so many people, they say they don't remember their dreams because they can't put anything into their cellular memory because their body is too toxic or too stressed or stuck in a scenario where there's a constant feeding on them. So new cellular memories don't proper have encoding in them. And that's where random big downloads of stuff come into people.
You've also explained in dreams and in dream time that there's usually different layers. So someone might remember one layer of dream, but maybe not the different layers. Is that correct?
Each chakra is a different layer of dreaming too, because each chakra is a different color. I talk about the 63 layers of experience. In our dream world is where the vast majority of the 63 layers of experience constantly are in co-creative existence. And it is our life mission as beings on Earth to become the rainbow gateway producers, which is at all times the movement of our feet are creating a rhythm and pattern of all colors, so that our crown, connected into our feet, connected into our hand, is the rainbow interactive energy. Time is our only limitation.
Now, give us a moment. Andrew's voice may have cut off briefly. Right now he's recording from a different place. And that's part of the reason that we've put on no video.
You are starting to break up here.
Yeah, there you go. See, I can hear you coming in and out. And welcome again back to our lead show. We have fixed all the little gremlin issues, and now we actually have Andrew on video with us, which is an added bonus. Hey there, Andrew.
And welcome back, everyone. We are going to have a very fun and exciting show as we once again continue our Q&A session And I want to thank Natalie for helping out when we were having some internet gremlin issues. But now that has been worked out, we are moving on along to the question and answer phase.
Perfect. So we're going to jump right in. We have just a ton of questions here. So I'm going to start with scrolling down. Okay, so who was Leonardo da Vinci, really?
Ooh, long story short, he is a member of a mystery school that's leapfrogging through time, and he is both a good guy and a bad guy. He developed weapons of war to change a society at that moment of a renaissance, and he also developed medicine and learned about the human body. He was an explorer to try to find out what were the definition and rules of our reality. He understood that consciousness and energy ultimately manifest your own reality. He also understood that they were multidimensional, multifunctional, photonic beings of light, that was a ritual person, a ceremonial-based person that understood the densities of energy and was able to transit his thoughts from past, present, to future. A true member of the mystery school, like many, many other people of that era. You know, I could go for hours and hours and hours, and that's probably one we should just set aside. Who is Leonardo da Vinci? He is a person that has an ability to tap into the full power of the mind, to know every time he's ever been an architect, every time he's ever been an engineer, every time he's ever been a scientist, past, present, and future. He can call upon the skills of any one of his versions of selves at any moment as freely as taking a breath.
So that's what helped him create such remarkable things in this time period.
What helped him make sure that it withstood the sands of time. There's a big difference, because there are a lot of people that have had altering works, great paradigm-altering works that have never been made public. It's ultimately surviving the sands of time, that test of time. And he was smart enough to make sure that all the people of his era notified and codified him. Why? Because he ultimately knew he was making an impact on a future people who would be reading about him.
Fascinating. So was he actually able to see a little bit into the future what people would be thinking?
Absolutely.
Wow.
He could do whatever he wanted to do. He could take a hat off and put a hat back on in any way, shape, or form, mentally and spiritually. Whatever skill sets he needed were available there, but he had to do it in secrecy.
Mm-hmm.
He had to have trusted agents around him. Otherwise, the papacy of that era, which had the very flat earth society still concept behind it, would have done what? Burnt him at the stake like the hundreds of others they were burning at the stake every year. In some instances, every month.
So what about people who were burned at the stake, such as, like in the Salem witch trials?
Well, that's not a real story. They weren't actually burning the witches at the witch trial. They were actually burning the attorneys. Go research the truth of it. It was all about the attorneys who were stealing everyone's money at the time. And they thought that the attorneys were practicing witchcraft.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yes. And it's the attorneys who found what? The kids to take the bait.
Uh-huh.
There's a whole big thing of our history that's been hidden from us. Totally false history. Like Christmas. It was an invention of the 20s. Marketing.
Of the 20s?
Yeah.
Wow. So, let's talk a little bit more about that. So, like, even before that, just nothing.
It isn't celebrated around the world like it is today. How did it make around the world? Is that just from the missionaries? No. The missionaries didn't practice it until the 20s. It's literally a creation of marketing. So much of our traditions have been hijacked by the marketing. Halloween coming up, for an example. How is kids running around knocking at a door for treats and makeup anything to do with the original Samhain concept? Nothing.
That's a good question.
Yet we still send our children out on the densest energy day of the year. or give our children celebrated gifts at the death and birth of a child that was, a great being of light that didn't really exist the way we are taught that he existed. What's the truth behind those traditions? It's the human heart and spirit of giving, ultimately. Giving, receiving, joy and happiness, love and respect. Those are what the truths of those traditions are. But they're absolutely hollow to the beliefs now. Saint Nick, why is he a saint?
Yeah, why is he a saint?
Okay. Go back and I advise people to look at our history, and you realize how poorly it was forged. So poorly that we can look back now and see all the mistakes that they made with adult minds that are growing up, that have been educated enough to see what? Being fooled by our own presenters of history. The Vietnam War was started on what? The Gulf of Tonkin incident. Absolute falsities said by McNamara himself and multiple other government officials. There was never a boat there, and there was never any American sailors killed in that. Yet that justified what? 55,000 deaths in Vietnam. Those are called false flags, and that has been done throughout history over and over and over and over and over again. And we've reached a point in our history where these common techniques, which are trying to be used right now by people that have mystery schools inside them, people call it the cabal. I refer to it as the coalition of mystery schools maintaining reality status. And there are good coalitions and bad coalitions, some off-world coalitions, some on-world coalitions. And they don't all agree to each other, and they all fight each other in many different ways, shapes, and forms, because this is a multidimensional existence. It is not just this. This is ephemeral. This is moment to moment. And as soon as the I Am Presence is reintegrated to the light body, the I Am Presence isn't really a part of this reality anymore. It's back to the unity consciousness frequency. This is where a lot of people have a disconnect of what the I Am Presence purpose is. It's here to experience. It's the slice or spark of the soul that is delving into the ocean mind of Earth, to dream with her, to create with her, to share realities with her and other people, to procreate life, to reach out and touch distant worlds that have not seen consciousness ever, and to bring them consciousness where they were but blankness. That is our purpose, to imprint into the rest of the world. And yet we grow up now, we imprint into our children lack, shame, blame, guilt, false laws, totalitarian governments, slavery, all those other things that aren't a part of our culture naturally, but were brought on by the species that promoted war and war and war and war for economy. That is why we are in the Babylonian business plan itself. We're at a frequency state where the slave contracts that are on us, people don't even have a clue of how deep it goes. When you're born, your foot is stamped into ink, and that ink onto paper. That's saying you are branded like a brand new cow. Because that's the same thing they do to cows, or chickens, or anything else that's being marked for the rest of its life as having value. That is what we come into the world. And you're given 22 injections of thermosol, of liquid mercury, bound into this other stuff that alters your genetics before your I Am Presence is fully settled into the body. And then instead of being put onto your mother's heart and not removed for days, you're stuck into an incubator where you bond with acrylic and other babies who are lost also. That isn't natural. So coming back to a natural way of living is the Renaissance. And what Leonardo da Vinci tried to show is we thought so small back then. And if he could figure out a way to get past all of the mystery schools and influence history somehow, some way, for them to realize they are much bigger than what the church defines them. They are much bigger than what the local blacksmith says is possible. They are much bigger than what the scientists and the philosophers say in their books. We are infinite beings of co-creation.
Beautiful. So I think that's definitely a topic worth discovering more of. You shared just so many different layers of information from that one question alone. So,
well, we're doing a thing on mystery school, so it would be very, very much apropos to include Leonardo. We'll simply get in Leo.
Leo, all right.
Oh, yeah, Leo.
There's a few actually on here. Like there's another question on Nostradamus as well.
Same concept, different.
Yep, that's what I was going to say. Same thing right there. Actually, here's an interesting one. Nat and I pulled up when we were waiting for you to come back. Who was Rumpelstiltskin, and is there any truth to guessing his name and taking away his power?
Yes, absolutely. It is a creation of a dream world where it is a predatorial hunter that you drains fear energy, and those superstitions were created to keep beings like that in power. Because it passed, once again, the test of time. That's come from legend to myth, power of myth. I mean, what does myth really mean? Why do we give myth so much power? Because there's a deep knowingness somewhere in the deep depths of us that we are greater beings. And so great that we will be surprised at every turn at times at the greatness of some being and their ability to hold space and to help others hold space for others until finally the brightest light shines forth. And that brightest light is a representation of all those other lights that held space for that particular thing, that particular frequency of signature truth to come forward, like Martin Luther King, or Seabiscuit, or any of those others that have passed the test of time, that have influenced the culture to write about them, to be poets, to sing songs about them, to cherish ephemeral artwork. 1,000 years from now, people will look back at records at the way people held them. Suspended vibration in vinyl. That's what they'll say. And it wasn't even of earth. It wasn't even in crystal. How disconnected were they? And then they'll look into materialism and consumerism, and they'll know that every time an iPhone came out, it was more important to get that iPhone than to have a child. More important to get that iPhone instead of making a decision about your life that could truly alter the abundance that was in your world. But that iPhone at that moment, that $800, took 200 years off of your ability to progress as an I am presence. That's what people will look back on. They'll have access to their DNA lineage memories and all those that came before them, and they will see what it is that we struggled with here. And then they will be very careful of what technology they apply to their daily life. Look at this scenario. Wi-Fi on a computer, Wi-Fi where we're at, you finally plug in, you still have issues, you resolve it all down. Why isn't there a single form of communication in our world that doesn't have security issues? Why doesn't that exist? It could have existed at any point in time because we are living a separated society that is using divide and conquer. Divide and conquer is the whole point of capitalism. We must restructure the way we look at society, restructure the way we look at personalities, restructure what is ignorance and intolerance and blissfully ignorance. So for those that don't want a reality experience, they can have their experience somewhere else or in a place that's more protected for them to have that particular innocent nature of experience. Whether it's falling in love or having to have the final thing of a final fight between two brokers who are letting go of capitalism or two bankers that are kindly coming to feed the children. You know, it takes $160 billion to feed every man, woman, and child on this earth for 10 years. Why hasn't that been done?
Why? That is a good question. Why hasn't that been done?
The aircraft carrier George W. Bush, which cost $11.4 billion, was more important to have in the list with 50 B-2 bombers, which were $6.5 billion each. We spend $20 trillion on war. That's why we don't want to feed the people. That is greed. That is fascism. That is the worst kind of abuse of its own people.
What will it take to cause the shift so that this abuse stops?
People. People saying no. When the people on the street say no, that is when those in the government will begin to say no too, because they are the people in the street too. The government is little bit, not even a full percentage of our population. 2 million, 3 million, 4 million government workers out of 380 million. I barely see even registers at that 1%. They can't overwhelm everyone at that odds. It only took 80,000 people in Prohibition to change Prohibition to end it. Okay? Look what it took for civil rights. Years of marching in the street. And so finally the television took on to that concept and allowed it to be reported on television. You know, marching is just one thing. There are many, many other ways, creative ways that we can create change. But we have to come together and share these knowledges, share these resources of what's worked and what doesn't work. We are the only ones that can do it. Not just me and everyone on this call, everyone that's out there listening, and everyone that hasn't ever listened to a show. It's still up to them to change their own reality. You know, the decision to march is a big decision. The decision to write a letter to your senator is another decision. The decision to say, all right, I'm not going to watch propaganda news is a whole different decision than actually saying I'm going to write a letter because I'm pissed off or I'm tired of this. There are people that disconnect. You just let the government do it. That's called tacit consent. The system of domination control is still planning your future life if you're just sitting back drinking the beer, letting it happen, even though you don't agree with it. Just because you got guns in your back means jack shit, motherfucker. Okay? They got tanks if they want them. They got aircraft carriers if they want them. They've got drones. They've got robots. They've got lasers. And they've got super soldiers. They're all stressed out on cocaine and methamphetamine and all those other drugs, because that's what's going to be when that comes down to that. It's been proven time and time and time again. When something falls, the worst of the underbelly comes out, which is those rouge factions, those rogues inside rogues and rogues that figured out how to take over the chain of command of a hierarchical order, of a compartmentalized system, and manipulate it as if it were harp strings. Pun intended.
That's something I think that people can absorb, and I think what we're going to do is we're going to take the next question to a lighter level, because I think this was important for people to hear. And now we're going to help them absorb this frequency by going on to a slightly lighter course here. Okay? I think this is what's going to help everything hit home. The question that we wanted to ask next, this is the question that was brought up by someone. I haven't seen that before. They want to hear your take on mer people in respect to myth, legend, and genetics.
Mer people go way back into our history. We, as a human being, surface DNA race lineage, don't have access to our race lineage memories where we were under the sea. For every piece of a human being that lived above the sea, The Anunnaki also made those that lived below the sea. Okay? For a very long time, they didn't allow anyone to live on the surface, where we ultimately did what? Created our own consciousness on the surface because we were mer people during the different destructions. We figured out how to force incarnate onto the surface. So it was always a control of the incarnation system. So as soon as they started screwing with our DNA, they were able to put us to the top or to the bottom of surface, subsurface. That's why they would float the oceans and get them really tall and then sink them. That's why they'd get in those ice ages. They'd kill off the merfolk people during the ice ages. Why? Because they were altering reality. They were still producing genetically superior species that could awaken a unity grid all over the world.
So are they, existing now in our reality in this dense form, or just kind of in a different sort of level?
Their species has been thinned out to extinction level. Mm-hmm. I mean, there were 15, 16 billion of them as much as 200 years ago. And then there's about just under 1 billion of them now. Okay? I mean, that's like us, 7 billion humans going to 1 billion humans. The whales that have been thinned out from extinction. But again, this is a process created by Earth, that beings that stay in a DNA skin suit at the end get to become part of Hollow Earth and become master ancestors to Earth, and they then become at the fifth dimensional level because they have completely finished with their contracts that Earth asked them for.
Yeah. Yep. So what about, talking on these different beings, what about the elves? Because people are asking a bit about them, wanting a little bit more depth. Like
another extinction level event. Now, elves are part of what's called the 9 realms. That's the world tree of Earth. Earth has 9 separate primary incarnating realms, and the elves are of the 9th realm, and Earth is at the fourth part of the realm. It's the center. So elves still exist in another realm, but they have become extinct on Earth as a DNA species. So that means an elf can only come here as a light body DNA and enter into a DNA skin suit that is human, that isn't an elven expression of shape-shifting or the ability to soul transference. Like there were more things other than just shape-shifting that were removed when our species was taken to the DNA format that we have now. Elves could come in here and breed with humans and make hybrids. And humans needed to be sterile in the sense that they couldn't make hybrids because the Anunnaki or whoever else was experimenting with us at that time wanted us to be their soul experiment. So they built into our DNA ways that we couldn't hybrid DNA. But as soon as you figured out how to get even the slightest amount of elven DNA at a light body level into something, humans would suddenly mutate themselves and have elven information come through their DNA skin suit.
Right. Okay. So right now, for those that are listening, do people on a basis ever interact with elves, or knowingly or unknowingly, kind of in this reality?
Yeah. Believe it or not, in any given day, if you're a person that travels in the city or travels in a place that there's 5,000-10,000 people, your chances of passing one elf are very good. So maybe equivalent. Let's see. There's roughly 7 billion humans. You put another 700 million elves living on our world. In the 3D matrix, they figured out how to adapt and how to look and change their residual human image to be humans. They have perception deception filters built inside their DNA.
Right, okay.
As do many other species that are living amongst us right now. And as I've said this before, there's 50 billion beings that live on this world that are consciousness a part of the awakening. So our experience as awakening of human beings is to include those other 43 billion people we haven't met yet.
I see. And that's all an important part of the interaction.
Right.
On a note, I think you mentioned there's other species and beings. What's the difference between elves and leprechauns?
Oh, massive, massive. Leprechauns are a chaotic creation.
Mm-hmm.
They are when DNA mutations happen because a light body that got into a screwy DNA body altered itself somehow, and then that thing, which you would call a leprechaun, had aspects of the land that it was in and aspects of the DNA memories of who it was before, but it couldn't have full access to who it was, so it had a skewed mind. And then it would go into it, found a way to mate with itself because it was built inside to go and mate. And once it made, it created a lineage thing called leprechauns, which ultimately are not pot of gold wielding. That is our superstitions. They are quite chaotic entities and quite destructive at times. And there are other sides of them who have gone through the healing and who are quite beneficial to the general society. They know how to transmit dense energies out of a place. That's the 0-point function they took on when they realized they were being a being of source and not a being of chaos.
I see. So you say that the whole pot of gold thing is just a superstitious construct?
Absolute superstition, but it's a construct that has been given millions of thought powers behind it.
So what about rainbows, though?
What about rainbows?
Well, there's certain different questions. For example, even if we're not talking about leprechauns in a pot of gold, there actually is, ironically, a question about rainbows. And are we ever actually able to reach the end of the rainbow, so to speak?
I'm going to ask you a 3D question. What is a rainbow?
Well, I suppose in the 3D sense, spectrum of light that we see refracted.
Okay. So we experience the world at 7 colors. We're 7-ray experiencing beings. So let's look at the rainbow for what it is. It's all frequencies, and water is the key. Our bodies are made of 86% water, and we radiate light from within. We don't perceive light from without. So when light strikes the water and creates the rainbow frequency, it is a reminder of what's inherent in the reality we live in. All experiences are here, and we have an infinite amount of energy to glow from within inside and to use the water frequency or fire frequency or earth element or air element or anything else that exists in this reality in the rainbow frequency to come together to make a shared reality construct other future beings can incarnate in and then thus share. We built the mountains, we built the grounds, we built the oceans, and then we built a reality that said if the oceans will carve it out like this, this will do like that. Every part of our planet was constructed by our minds. Every single mountain is technology because they understood the total frequency of what nature meant. It was a predictive model of heart space and co-creation. Instead of capitalism creating chaos amongst everything else that has a predictable factor to it called marketing.
Right. And to tap back into that frequency as a species, as beings, I guess that would take the awakening.
Yeah, it would be the awakening. And I'm not putting marketers down in any way, shape, or form, but it is only good marketing that sells a product. Right?
Oh, sure. Oh, sure.
You're not going to go too far on the word of mouth. There's only a handful of stories that have done it on word of mouth.
Well, many.
Yeah, volume. There's so much other stuff out there in competition.
Well, many marketers have definitely deservedly gotten their bad rap because a lot of them will augment the reality. You know, it can be a very manipulative field, and that's the issue. The difference is when, as a marketer, you learn how to co-create with others in a positive way. But that's all part of the shift that's happening instead of being a take society.
And marketers will have one of the easier job transitions. You know, is there going to be a need for a news industry, 24-hour propaganda news industry like we have now? No. Is there going to be a need for supermodels? No. Will some of our culture hold on to it? Yeah. Will there be a need for, let's say, arguing about education with the Senate ever again? No, because those motherfuckers will be in jail. That's why. Because they're all corrupt. They all sold us out a long time ago. And their fathers before them sold us out. And their motherfucking fathers before them sold out. For what? Bribery. Bribery for what? Capitalism and consumerism.
Interesting thoughts on job security when it comes to the shifts. Always find those within your heart a bit. Really resonates. You can find what's the right thing to do.
Yes. I'm sorry for my stinging tongue. But sometimes you must accentuate your words for people to get. And, you know, I'm one of those people, I am so selective about all the words that I use because we can be easily misinterpreted. But there are some words, or siliques, or things that come together in supposition lines that connect the imagery of what's going on. They sold us out. They sold us out so much that if we don't figure out a new way of saying how bad they sold us out, people won't get it.
And it's understandable. We're really driving that point home, and people can absorb that.
Bernie Madoff, his own name secured it. He made off with $60 billion.
It's true.
And only like 4 people in his firm went to jail.
We feel it. We feel it, Andrew. We feel it.
Oh, you feel it. I guess got an altar, huh?
Well, I'm going to point you towards a few more questions that I think would be good. We did go off to explore a little further, but just to finish talking a little bit on our elvish and rainbow talks here. Someone's also asking about tree spirits. They're asking if the fairies, the fays, and the tree spirits are all the same.
No, tree spirits are different. Those are elemental beings of nature who are also there to service the tree spirits, the grass spirits. They're the mediators. They're their version of politics and government because their point is unity, and the trees already know how to grow in unity, and the grass and all that other stuff. So when human beings come in and trounce around and predators come in and have issues with human beings, elemental tree spirits come in and try to act as ancestral negotiators at the energy level. And once again, we will be calling upon them to do that job because we won't have people in our society that we trust to be judges right away. It's a very, very hard choice. Who do you let to be a judge in a world of compassion and forgiveness at the fraud that's just been exposed to us? We're going to need those photonic beings of light who are in the sacred neutral position who weren't in materialism and consumerism. We will need horses and goats to have a voice again, the whales and the dolphins and the birds and the spiders and the corn plants, the sunflower plants, the poppy plants that made heroin would love to have some of their ancestral energy neutralized, the coca plant, mushrooms, all of those other beings, they have a story in our co-creation. And they've accepted karma, and literally their species never was supposed to be a part of that. Because their consciousness was a unified expression in the growth pattern of the DNA plant or animal that they chose, not to be in a shared, unsovereign reality of domination and control. Allowing that once again to flourish and be in our heart space and connected to that, instead of turning on the iPhone and connecting to LinkedIn or Facebook or any of those other ones. our new social medias, the plants and the trees, as they will tell us what is going on in the land and help us process the energies that are within ourselves. So when we choose to have a mystical experience, not only do we have the energy for it, but we have the smile in our hearts and the smile in our face, and we're able to freely share it with the neighbor down the street as they freely share their experience with us. And we aren't in justice or judgment of what they chose, because they too went through the same thing we did. And they deserve a second chance, just like everyone else in this world.
Beautiful. Speaking on things of sovereignty and judging and all, there's actually questions here about declaring sovereignty. A question specifically, how will declaring personal sovereignty help me in court if I have a traffic ticket or refuse to pay taxes?
That's a philosophical debate. Ultimately, when you are defending paper in a court, you're identifying standing. So if you are skilled in that thing and understand the way the system of law and sovereignty works, a judge that is there to take your ticket, there is no injured party. It's written in the law right there. So if you accept a contract from a judge to pay a ticket, that's on you. How will declaring sovereignty in front of that judge change that judge's reality? Until they're exposed as a fraud nationally, internationally, until they're what they've done, they own that power because millions of other people have given it to them. And your one time might be the straw that makes the camel's back, or you could be held in contempt of court, or you could be put in the back of the court because there's 50 people in front of you who will sign the contract, and at the end of the day, they'll just let you out. A lot of times that happens. They just let you go. And then there are other times that if you do it over and over and you keep getting caught, by speeding tickets, the rule of law means nothing in the courts. A judge has proven over and over he can does whatever he wants, and there is no judicial review that stops him. They're a crime syndicate. Simple as that.
Well, that's interesting because that kind of brings us to a question about judges or judging people. A question here is we're told we should not judge others, but where do we draw the line and begin to hold those responsible for causing harm to others in the entire world?
That is a debate that has been passed on to our society for a really, really long time. 20 years ago, there would have been guillotines and nooses out there for them, waiting. What is there waiting for today? Creative ways that people are really waiting to end other people's lives or to make their extended life hell because we can't fall into vengeance. So where do we begin to forgive these people? We've got to forgive yourself for being fooled so that you don't create anger and project it at something until it becomes a beacon of everyone else's anger and then is psychically beaten up and psychically ruined and then taken through the world. Is that what's going to happen? What's going to happen is what needs to happen, the layer of truth that comes out. Because the amount of suffering people will have at their heart level, well, not only do they realize their reality has been controlled, their spirituality has been controlled for thousands of years, but there are people out here that were literally like a corporation bought stock in us and how our reality would be changed. And when they bought stock, they literally took stock. Those kids on the milk cartons? That's going to be a really, really big story. And those people about those projects will be far more worried about than the judges. Okay? Now, some of those judges are included to those milk carton projects because they steal kids out of homes from parents that were never doing anything wrong. Okay? Things like that go on all the time. And those wrongs need to be righted immediately. So how do we trust when our reality has been broken that level? You trust your friends and your neighbors who are also fooled by you. And for those people that work in the government now, are you going to be pariahs in your community You're damn straight you're going to be pariahs in your community, and you better learn how to be transparent really fast, because that's the only way to stop being a pariah, is to be transparent. In transparency, you learn truth and perpetuity. And what is truth and perpetuity? Forever. No more secrets for our people. No more curses of silence. Let the truth be told. Right now there's that iron fist called propaganda that's massaging the wallets of everyone right now. And why massaging the wallets? Because that's where it's got the hook on us. Pay your taxes. Pay your rent. Pay. The war can't exist without money. Imagine if everyone in the world burnt their money one day in acts of defiance. Is the reality ready to see that? No, it's not. But that could be a potential celebratory thing that everyone in our world does. It finds your local currency as much as you can, and you light it on fire. And yeah, it is illegal to burn money. And I did think of that. But at the same time, when you're in that high layer of defiance, does it have power over you? Well, why don't we bring the show to an end here? Well, with all the technical difficulties, I got to get ready for another radio show.
Sure. Well, I was going to say we have just 2 comments to make before we end the show, because there actually were a few questions, like one about alchemy, because people are asking about alchemy show, and that is something that we have in the works. So, that's something we're brewing, and there is also requests for shows, including I think we mentioned once a show on STDs and clearing and healing those. So to those who are submitting and asking, for specific show requests, please do continue to do so, because we look at these and we can see, what's being called for. And we have some very wonderful stuff coming up. So much love. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Nat and Sandy. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
All right, guys, take it easy.
Wow. A lot of that stuff in there was intertwined with what we've talked about on the Diamond Show, and Franco and Antonio and all others. That is Andrew Bartzitz, and you can join andrewbartzitz.com. You can join what's called the League of Consciousness Explorers. And yes, I'm an explorer. And they do these Q&As every month, and you can watch them as an explorer and other perks. So if you so inclined, it's $9 a month, and be an explorer. But I brought that forward. I thought that was really awesome stuff. Anybody have any questions, comments? Come on here. Let me unmute the room. Okay, well, I think that's a wrap today, and I want to give some time for anybody to come in if they want, just to speak their heart, comments, questions, what's going on with you in your life, any testimonies. Star 6.
Yeah.
Next, coming up is Julian and Franco teaming up, and the round table, November 1st. And what's next week? It is October 18th. So not next Saturday, the Saturday after, Julian and Franco. All right, you guys. Well, you have a great weekend. I hope you learned a lot and your hearts Our hearts are standing up and learning some new stuff today. Consciousness expanding. We're getting fatter and fatter every day in the spiritual realm. That's good. Did I hear anybody come in? And remember that this is reference number 169 if you want to listen to it on the recorded line. Love you. Keep shining like the diamonds you are. Blessings of peace, love, and joy turning to bliss. See you on the other side next week, Saturday. Watch the blog. Diamonds with an S forever 31.blogspot.com. Love you, Bev, and everybody. Bye-bye.